Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to DSP News 2nd Edition, or if this is your first time here, welcome. And let's go ahead and get right into it. This isn't actually a broadcast anymore of... It's not really a broadcast, it's more of a show, if you will. But even more than that, this is a place for us to learn. The main point of this channel is to pick up a lot of what is laid down by people like Almighty Tevin, praise be, Theo, or people that just are people on Twitter or Kiwi Farms who throw out these different situations that some of you guys aren't familiar with. If you guys followed me from the main channel, you guys know that I know a decent amount because I'm a fan. So I started off watching a lot of this, but it's not enough for me. And the fact that I'm not doing, or at least I feel like I'm not doing enough to delve into Phil's bullshit and debunk. And from here on out, ladies and gentlemen, let me make this absolutely clear to you that this is where the detractor community is going to go from here on out, is debunking all of Phil's bullshit. Under reasonable circumstances, Phil has been handled rather light for a long time at the behest of a group of people who thought he would get better. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they just didn't want to go at his neck. But Phil has consistently and constantly lied about dumb things, sometimes within the same sentence, as most of you have caught from the main channel or any other detractor channel that you watch. And it's time to go ahead and put the boot to his motherfucking neck and keep the pressure on it all night and keep applying. He needs to know that every single, well, maybe not every single thing, because no one can cover that, but I guess us as a community would be able to. Everything that he says, everybody can basically point out that didn't happen, Phil, and we can prove that. I think the idea of having people like Tevin, for example, praise be, who's at the top of the food chain, just constantly, well, as constant as he can, send out these bits of information, it's not reasonable. You know what I mean? Like, we have to take steps forward to educate ourselves in a lot of ways, or at least that's how I feel. And that's kind of the point of this channel as best I can. As I've always said, if you followed me from the main channel, Phil's past is the roadmap to his future. And I have not been wrong yet. And with that being said, I want to delve into his past to see kind of what makes him tick, but also to show you that some of these different scams, some of these different lies, some of these things aren't new. They're things that he's done before. He's developed this over time, as that of the classic sociopath in a lot of ways. He has had chances to experiment with certain things, and he has manipulated and wore down people in his fan base over time to get to where we're at now. And I think it's interesting. I think that's one of the main reasons why people watch DSP content, because of the fact that it's amazing that not only that someone like this can generate $10,000 a month, but also he can convince all these people to give him this money. It's not about Phil himself that is interesting, but or it's not just that, I should say, but it's the effect that he has on the people around him, the amount of people who are still heavily influenced by them. And as you're going to see moving forward, those people who struggle to break away from him, those people who have been wronged by Phil, even though in most cases they didn't do anything to him, and they find it hard to break away. Ladies and gentlemen, my idea, my focus, as with the DIA and as with Agent Proper, is to kind of delve in to his past and see why is the psychosis so strong? Why is it that someone who has been a perpetual failure for the majority of his life, if not all of it, a person who, by being white hot popular in air quotes, by finding a median on the internet to express his opinions and people praised it, a man and by proxy said that this is the only thing he's ever found that was meaningful, that he felt that he was needed, that he was wanted, and that he felt that he was important, which is scary, by the way. What makes an individual like that tick? And what is the driving force that leads people to continue to follow him after all these years? You've seen Phil turn his back on friends, on loved ones, on supporters for years, for over a decade. And yet people still want to support him, knowing that they've already had a friend or two of theirs who has already bite the bullet. It's an amazing situation. So I think this is just another way to better understand what Phil is. So that's kind of my purpose. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, enough of the enough of the opening statements, if you will. Let's get to what you guys are actually here for today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the King of Hate Vlogs. Special update rant, YouTube issues, Metro LL, OneChannel, and Nintendo and more. Yet again, this is from the King of Hate Vlogs from May 17th of 2013, ladies and gentlemen. Yet again, the purpose of all this is we are here to learn together. There is a lot that I do not know. And so I want to better, if I'm going to have a voice, and if people who are going to come later detractors, or new detractors that I should say are going to come later on, and those detractors that are here are going to come up, they need to have as much information as possible. If I don't have that information, then I'd like to point you in a direction where you can get it. And I don't want to always be like, okay, I know Tevin remembers this situation. Next time you're on Tevin's stream, go over there, ask him, and he'll tell you. I don't want to bombard him with that. I don't want to bombard Theo with that, or Argent, even though those three people, those three individuals would, if they remember, would tell you that. I think it's, as fans and as viewers, if you're interested in delving into this more than just a casual viewer, we need to try to cultivate our own library of Alexander, or library of Galtopia, if you will. And that's kind of what the point of this is. I should actually call it that, the Library of Galtopia, but we'll see. Either which way, that's the point of all this. So, sit back, relax, and like I said, we're about to learn something. And hopefully, I can make sure this is entertaining for you too. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys literally in just a second. Well, a little more than a second. You know what I mean. I'll be back.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to a special Friday night stream slash vlog. I just got back from vacation in Philadelphia for a week. A lot has happened during the course of this week regarding just gaming in general, regarding my schedule that's changing, regarding my setup and things that are going to happen. We have a lot to talk about in this video. I have a list that I'm going to go through. We're going to talk about things including all the videos I uploaded this week with the scheduled uploader, what went wrong halfway through the week because of this, false copyright claims and shit that happened on my Fallout playthrough, how it negatively affects how you see that playthrough, and my plans for the future with that playthrough. In addition, the fact that I still have some of those videos left, I have not made them live yet, and I'm going to explain what I'm going to do with those. We're going to talk a little bit about my schedule changing around, that I'm going to be playing Metro Last Light a little bit earlier than expected because John Rambo can't make it on Saturday, but that doesn't mean that he won't be coming this week, and I'm going to explain all that. We're going to have a huge, disgusting belch right in the middle of a sentence. We're going to actually talk about how my headphones broke last week for my direct capture and streaming gameplay, but we're going to talk about some new ones that I ordered, whether or not they're here, some interesting news on that. We're also going to talk about a situation going on with the Machinima app, which I'm kind of disappointed about. And there's a reason why there's a special video that they want me to make, but I can't make it yet. And I'm going to explain all that in this vlog. We're also going to talk about the new YouTube OneChannel layout that supposedly, it's rumored, is going to actually be going live within the next 2 weeks. And you will be forced to use it, and how it's going to negatively affect everyone who uploads videos to YouTube, and most people aren't aware of this yet, so I want to explain this to everyone because it's going to be a major drop in revenue and views for everyone, not me or anyone that's just partnered. Even anyone who just makes videos on YouTube for fun, you're going to be negatively affected, and I want to tell you why. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about Nintendo's latest flub, as it's not bad enough that they made a system that sucks, that's outdated, that's about to become a relic, a system that really has no games coming out for it, announced for it. Now they've just completely spit in the face of the fans, and we're going to talk about that because it's a huge controversy this week. It's been all over the gaming news, and I really want to address it and really talk about my honest feelings about it. Alright.
Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the King of Hate Vlogs, special update rant, YouTube issues, Metro LL, OneChannel, Nintendo, and more. Yet again, King of Hate Vlogs from May 17th of 2013. First thing I want to emphasize is a couple of different things. One, remember, the pignosis is he fell into this. That he didn't choose YouTube. YouTube chose him. And because of that, he was lucky to turn this to make his hobby his job. At the same time, you're seeing here someone who merely plays video games and uploads it online. That's it. To be honest with you, it's no more cut and dry than that. Editing is not a thing. Some of the extra peripherals, some of the what would be even in 2013, which would be the industry standard, right, for content creation, isn't involved. None of that. But yet you see how he puts the emphasis on, this is a job, look at how much I do, this is why you should appreciate me, and more importantly, this is why you should support him. He's made this into a job. He set that image, to be honest, the moment that he started making money off of it. Pure and simple. He always had it, in my opinion, he's always had it lined up for that. So I want you guys to definitely just keep that in mind. Like I said, that's my viewpoint. Secondly, when you hear Phil in the pre-streams, and when you hear him through his game playthroughs, and you see and hear a lot of this kind of mundane, dead air type content, or a commentary, if you will, you're going to see why. You're going to see why back when he was in Connecticut, when he actually had people around him that he slowly pushed away if he couldn't use them for content, he actually has something to say. He actually had meaning, if you will, to his commentary. Now he doesn't. Now he's locked in his house 6 straight days a week. The one day that he's not home and he's with Catherine, they go off, run errands, eat, buy shit that he tries to hide, and comes home. He doesn't have a life. He doesn't have really anybody to talk to. He's the proverbial old woman who is locked in her own home, slowly withering away because she has no one else to reach out to her. Her family probably lives across the country, and she talks to them maybe once or twice over the phone, and she had to find other things to occupy her space. But in turn, she couldn't really find much of anything. So she's slowly but surely dwindling away, not just physically but mentally. This is what you see, ladies and gentlemen, from DSP when he moved to Seattle, when he wanted to be safe, when he wanted to bask in his glory, in his accomplishments, feeling that, looking at all the YouTubers that were around him at that time, who did extremely well for themselves, who saved their money, who continued to push the bar on their content, not just for themselves, but for their peers, for the community, that's around them, and how they were able to reap the rewards. And Phil wanted that, and he wanted it desperately. The thing is Phil is an unrealistic motherfucker. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know, unrealistic motherfuckers always try to find a way to ice skate uphill. Because of that, he was desperate to get up out of Connecticut. Didn't have really much money saved up. Probably didn't have anything saved up, to be honest. And when I mean anything, I'm talking about he didn't have any real money put aside. I'd wager less than $10,000. Hence the reason why he had to go and get a bunch of loans to get a home, to get a mortgage, I should say. He had to go to, according to lore, he had to go to 2 or 3 different banks until someone finally approved him, I should say. Well, approved of him as well, because Phil took that as a source of validation. Let me dive into that rather quickly. And there are some early pre-streams talking about that. We will go over it. Thank you to Tevin, because that's what kind of tipped me off on this. If you have to go to 2 different banks to get a mortgage, and well, he went to 3. The third one finally approved him, but you had to go to 2 of them beforehand. Maybe, just maybe, you should have took the hint that, hey, you're not making enough, or you don't have enough saved. And that's really what it comes down to. I don't think Phil wanted to put any of his own money down. Not necessarily because he didn't have it. I feel like that is a thing. But I just think he really didn't want to put any of his own money down. I think he wanted the bank to cough the money up. Because, as you guys know in recent lore, we know that he basically got cucked into that condo. And, which is a funny story in its own right. One that hopefully we'll be able to delve into deeper here later. But he got cucked into that condo. He wanted to play it differently when it came to this house. He didn't want to have any risk, so to speak. But because of what he's chosen to present to his audience, to be the beacons and the trappings of his success, if you will, kind of like a rapper, he bought frivolous shit. And when it was time to when it was time to have money, have liquid assets to be used to gain something that he really, really wanted, he didn't have it. To be perfectly honest with you. That's really what it came down to. He didn't have what he needed. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, if Phil could have ended up getting the office space in Connecticut that he wanted, he might have gone that route. For some of you guys who didn't know, Phil was thinking somewhere between 2012 and 2013 of renting an office space. A space that's opposite of his condo, where he could have, and he definitely talked about it a little bit after he started doing this for a job, which was obviously after 2010. So I'm still within the same time frame. He was talking about getting an office space. And so him and John and Howard and whoever else could play games there. They could record it. They would have a designated spot for that. And then he could just be at home and drink himself silly and there'd be no problems. Now, that didn't come to pass for a couple different reasons. One, at least these are all my guesses. This is what I surmise. Is that one, the cost for a building space was probably rather expensive, I would guess. 2, the electricity to run it was probably going to be more than what he wanted to put out. 3, is he going to buy furniture for that place? Is he going to, like he has to buy all the peripherals. He has to do all of that stuff. There's a little bit more into getting a personal office space than he would have taken into consideration. And in turn, he just didn't find it to be worthwhile, especially with his dwindling viewership. Ladies and gentlemen, you can put all the bells and whistles on your content all you want. You know what I mean? To try to prop it up, if you will. But if you're not going to do what's needed to not just stand out, but to propel yourself forward, then you're not going to go anywhere. And that's just what it is. That's why good content, great content, rises to the top and everybody else is kind of where it's at. It is what it is. Now, granted, it could have been a steady growth, you know what I mean? But he didn't want to do that. He wanted to throw money at the problem. And in turn, that was supposed to push everything forward for him. Then again, these are all personal opinions, but these are some of the things that I would like you guys to look at going in. And so you guys have an idea of where my head is at moving forward. But I'll try to pick my spots gingerly, if you will. So this way you guys get the information, I can give you guys my comments moving forward. All right, now that that's over with, let's go ahead and get into the video.
So let's get started. So anyway, this week I was in Philadelphia on vacation starting on Monday, and I just got back not even 2 hours ago to here in Connecticut. And so much stuff happened when I was there. I just can't believe that so much stuff is going on this week when I was away, just for 5 days. It wasn't even like a full week. 5 days, all this stuff happening in the gaming world that we really need to talk about.
One more thing. I'm sorry, just one more thing. Remember, he said that there's a playthrough that he wants to do with John Rambo, and because of probably time constraints or whatever the case may be, that has to be pushed back until it can be done. That's the first thing that we need to point out, and it's the first thing that we need to make sure we're on Phil's neck about. Ladies and gentlemen, from the time Phil started this till today, he has never been alone. He was never a one-man band. He always had people at his disposal helping him moving forward. That right there is the same type of nonsense if I came to you and said that. I had 6 friends who helped me start with this. And then as time went on, you have Super Sloth Pants, who helped me out greatly. You have James the Lesser. You have Meerkat. You have Chio18. You have Mighty D. Mighty D has helped out quite a bit. You have Almighty Tevin in a lot of ways. There have been plenty of people who are either fellow detractors themselves or just people in the audience who have helped me at one time or another, as well as my own friends. You know what I mean? I can't say that I did this on my own. I would never say that. Yes, I am behind the microphone, but there is a machine that helps run this, and that you need people to help maintain that machine. Very few people do this on their own. You know what I mean? Even if you have only one person who helps you out a couple of days a week, there's still someone, there with you, right? There's still someone there backing you up who believes in what you're doing and wants to see you successful. Phil can never say he was alone, ever. And I want to make sure that he remembers that moving forward. Here we go.
But let's do a quick recap of what I did gaming-wise this week, because I was in Philadelphia not being able to play any games or do any new streams, and the bullshit that happened on YouTube that completely boned over my plans of doing scheduled uploads and screwed up the Fallout 3 playthrough for everyone. And of course, I already apologized in advance before I went on vacation, saying that I fully expected something was going to go wrong. I was 100% correct, and I apologize for anyone who was really looking forward to the Fallout playthrough and all of a sudden noticed that the videos were uploading in this weird order and 12 at a time they were showing up and everything was fucked up. It really is a mess, and there's not much that I can do about it besides apologize and say that I fixed it as much as I can and that the rest of the playthrough should be correct. Okay, so what happened? What's the deal? What's the skinny on what happened with the Fallout playthrough? Well, this week, when I was fully anticipating I would be in Philadelphia for the full week, and I knew I would not be able to play any new games or schedule any uploads or anything like that, on Sunday night, I scheduled a full week's worth of content to upload over the course of the next 2 days to YouTube, and I scheduled it out with YouTube's scheduled uploader that it would show up in certain increments so that it wouldn't flood everyone's inbox, and so that everyone would be able to think it's kind of the same as me just being home. And so what I had done is, I believe for that Monday, I had, if I remember correctly, it was the last batch of Injustice multiplayer videos, then it was the continuation of Uncharted Drake's Fortune, and it was the Star Trek co-op playthrough. And then on Tuesday it was going to be some more Battle Block Theater, the conclusion of Star Trek, more Uncharted. Wednesday was supposed to be Doritos Crash Course, the final 4 videos of that, Doritos Crash Course 2 co-op gameplay, and then the beginning of Fallout 3, the first 12 videos, which by the way, those actually did go up properly and people did really enjoy those a lot, and then the conclusion of Uncharted. All that went up fine, but where everything went wrong was Thursday and Friday, because here's what happened. As I was uploading the Thursday and Friday footage of my Fallout 3 playthrough, YouTube took it upon itself to do its automated content match. Now, that doesn't mean that someone owns a song or owns a game and they saw my playthrough and said, Phil's doing this and if that's a copyright violation, get him. Because if they did, that would have been a copyright strike against my DSP Gaming account. That's not what happened. What happens is there's this...
Oh, real quick. First problem that he had, that I see, is that he just, yet again, he uploaded too much content up at one goddamn time. And he's sitting here trying to put out 3 different games up in a single day, when in actuality, if he would just upload one game in its entirety, people would be caught up with that playthrough, and then they can almost seamlessly transition into the next game, Him trying to give this bunch of variety isn't very constructive. And in turn, because let's look at it this way. Well, no, I'll continue with my original point. I apologize. And because you have this mixed batch where you're only seeing this, 3 or 4 videos of a playthrough, and then next thing you know, it's a whole nother game that you might not be following, right? Or you may have not have even started. You're a bit disoriented. It comes across as very disorganized. And because of that, he didn't have the viewership he needed. Hence the reason why he had to upload 30 plus videos a day in the first place. Because the guy was too stupid to realize that, hey, maybe, just maybe, since I'm on vacation, this right here was a chance for a hard reset. Okay, I'll put up all the Uncharted to finish off the playthrough on Monday. All of this on Tuesday. Shit, to be honest with you, the last of the Injustice matches should have been on Friday. You know what I mean? Because you know how many videos that's going to be, and they're all in, 2 to 4 minute segments? That should have gone up Friday. There's no organization there at all, and which tells me, to be honest, that he just couldn't read his fan base. He just forced it upon them, and they just took whatever they took, and end of story. So that's the first thing that I find to be a tragedy in itself. The second thing that kind of stands out is, excuse me, is he... Okay, how do I word this? I want to say I want to try to be constructive, so I'm just not shitting on him just for the sake of it. Okay, so the uploading schedule is completely discombobulated, but then you still thought it was smart to upload 30 plus videos each day of your vacation, like as if you were there in the first place, when in actuality, if you had scaled some of that back, when you came back from vacation, you give yourself a bit of breathing room. You give yourself an extra 2 or 3 days, if you will, to go ahead and work out the YouTube problem that you're about to talk about right now, while still having steady content out. And if you went with my first suggestion, if the Street Fighter matches, or not Street Fighter, I'm sorry, if the Injustice matches get discombobulated at the end of the week, who cares? Because they're just Injustice matches. I mean, no one gives a shit. So the main playthroughs are still taken care of, while if those end up falling by the wayside, it is what it is. Now, granted, he didn't know about this change, or he just didn't read his emails, who could say? So you have to give him a little bit of leeway on that. But in actuality, if it was just structured a little bit better, things might have worked out. Thirdly, is you take it, yet again, you took a vacation. You're gone for 5 days, you're in Philly, so on and so forth. I'm sure you're probably recording and vlogging all of that anyway. I think there was a tournament that he actually went to, I think. Because he does have a vlog on his channel talking about the Philly tournament and how wild it was at the hotel and all that bullshit. So maybe that's what he was doing. So basically, he was watching all of this unfold, the YouTube aspect of it, from his laptop in Philly. So it wasn't that much of a hassle, ladies and gentlemen, because he could have fixed some of this on the fly. So it really wasn't the fact that it's completely and totally YouTube's fault. Don't be wrong, I agree that obviously the content thing hit him, but he could have reorganized everything right then and there. Now, yes, he's supposed to be on vacation, but when you're self-employed, you still have to be proactive in what you're doing. I don't know, just some small points.
Certain groups of music and certain groups of media and copyrighted stuff that gets loaded into YouTube's automated system, and it searches all your videos that you've uploaded and finds these snippets of things that it thinks could be copyright violations, and it flags them. And what it does, it basically disables any ads or anything that I had on those videos, and it tries to put ads for a third-party company on there. So incidentally, what happened with my Fallout 3 playthrough is that after part 12, I turned on the radio. What a fucking blunder that was. And I guess I kind of lucked out way back in 2008 when I did my first playthrough of the game back on my Dark Side Phil original YouTube channel, because I didn't use the radio back then. I was actually just playing the game, and I didn't even realize that you could turn on radio. Again, this was back before I was really into it. I was just a hobby. It wasn't like me doing full playthroughs and stuff. I think Fallout 3 was
So he was literally just playing games just to play games back in those days. Like, well, he kind of was sloshing through games back then like he does now. He wasn't really trying to fully immerse himself in the situation. He wasn't making any money at the time because you couldn't monetize any of your gaming content. He was just sloshing around, probably drunk. You know what I'm saying? Just going along just so he could put stuff on his YouTube channel. With, in my personal opinion, the idea, with the premise, probably one of the few things that was preemptive on his part, of eventually this is going to be able, I'm going to be able to monetize this. And then I'm going to be able to make a boatload of money off of it. But even back then, he was sloshing through games. How did you not know you could do something as small as turning on the radio? Why didn't you even try? You see what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of how Phil is. He's very narrow-minded in his thinking. A lot of people say he's just he's stubborn. And I'm not going to give him the pleads of ignorance on that. I'm not going to do that because too many people already have, and you see how he's taking advantage of that. At the end of the day, personal responsibility is a factor in this equation. And saying that, oh, he's just a bit hard-headed, is giving him wiggle room. It's giving him a way out. Instead of, to be honest, making him accountable. At the end of the day, we have an individual who will spend hours on end, days on end, weeks on end, months on end, and years on end, ladies and gentlemen, blaming everybody for his failures and his blunders. If he's not man enough to blame himself, fair enough. But the rest of us need to. Or at least laugh at it. One of the two.
Kind of officially my first full playthrough of a game, and I never turned on the radio. Well, this playthrough I did, and I'm going to say, number one, I think it's awesome because you hear people like Three Dog, or you hear the president on Enclave Radio who are talking, and that adds to the content of the game. But number two, the music is awesome. Some of this old-time music really is a cool kind of a feeling for the gameplay. And also, let's face it, outside of that, there's no other music or anything going on in the game, so it could be kind of silent if you don't use the radio. Well,
mainly it's just you're missing a big part of the story. Secondly, even if he did turn it on in 2008, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there's no guarantee anything would happen to him anyway. There are plenty of videos back then where people played the whole video, or who played the music so they could give you the whole embrace of the story, and nothing ever happened to those videos, at least the ones that I've seen, that date back to that time. Excuse me. So, what would make him think that's any different? It's when money becomes a factor into these situations, is where I think the copyright, where copyright issues become a thing. But, like I said, this is my opinion, though. I'm sure there's somebody who ended up getting caught up in the dragnet, if there was one.
I did this, the thing is, I played Fallout 3 4 streams last week. So I have like 60 videos of this game saved up. Out of that, I'd say maybe a dozen have the radio playing. Well, YouTube, in all its wisdom, uses its automated system to tell me a game from 2008 that I have copyright matches, and therefore they're going to disable my ads on those videos, and they are going to enable ads for third-party companies on those videos. But that's not even the half of it. What ends up happening is I have all these videos queued for upload. Because like I said, I'm not here. I queued them up Sunday night. On Monday, I was in Philadelphia, and these actual Fallout videos were uploading on Tuesday. Well, it screws up the entire upload queue, okay? It takes away the names of the videos, it takes away my description that I had set up, and it takes away the tags. So if I hadn't noticed that this was happening and put the stop to it, come, when those videos went live, you would have had all generic bullshit, no tags, nothing. It would have been a hideous mess. In addition, it deletes all the scheduled upload information. So those videos are now set to private, have no names, no tags, no descriptions, and are never going to go live unless I manually do it. So if you get a copyright flag on, any video, even from the automated system, it completely fucks up your uploading. So what the fuck was YouTube thinking? Oh, there's a possible copyright issue with one of the videos that this guy's uploading. Completely fuck over all his uploads. What were they thinking? What kind of a system is this? What kind of a system does that? So literally hours worth of work destroyed by YouTube. I was in my hotel room fucking for 2 hours, 3 hours when I'm supposed to be on vacation. Oh, I have to manually name 50 videos. I have to manually put descriptions and manually tag them. And now I have to set them up for proper, you know, going live. And by the way, once a video is uploaded and saved and set to private, you can't schedule it anymore. So I had to manually start setting videos from private to public at certain periods of time. So here's what happened. Unfortunately,
Now that sucks. I'll come out and say it sucks under those circumstances. Yet again, ladies and gentlemen, personal responsibility is a factor in this equation. With that being said, though you are on vacation, this is your livelihood. And since you were already online, if I had to guess, checking to make sure that the ads work, it's a good thing you caught what you caught. And if you have to put in the hours to make sure that these videos can go up, so you can, in turn, you can supplement your income, well, guess what? That's what you have to do. Now, the long and short of it, ladies and gentlemen, is that sucks. It sucks that one content ID can cause all of that. Either which way, I mean, it is his business, in air quotes. So guess what? You bite the fucking bullet. You do what you have to do. End of story. No bitching, no complaining. You do what you have to do. But if you're a 10-year-old kid, you're probably fascinated by this. You're probably enthralled with seeing someone who you respect, if you've been watching Phil for a long enough period of time, go through these growing pains, and yet it gives you an idea of, well, what's it really like to do YouTube? And in a lot of ways, it might even give you an outlook on what life is like in general. Now, this is where the problems come into play. Because just because this unrealistic individual is crying and complaining about a couple of videos that aren't going to go up for the week, and he has to actually manually do it himself, sucks for him, but guess what? That's how he makes his money. In the real world, you don't have time to bitch and complain about it like that. I mean, you can, sure, but you're going to find that it's not productive. There's a bunch of things in life that's not going to go right. You can either sit there and complain about it, like Philip does here, or you get shit done and you keep it moving. It's one of the two. You have doers, and then you have complainers. And in a lot of ways, when you look at Phil's fan base, not all of them, but as some of them, or if you look at some of them, a lot of them are complainers. I wonder why.
I was selecting, I'll select 12 videos and make them go live. Well, guess what YouTube would do? They would go live and they would publish to people's subscription boxes, all of my subscribers. But the problem was, it didn't do it in fucking order. So it would be like, oh, parts 42, 43, 44, 45, 32, 33, 34, 35. So now you don't even get to see the playthrough in order. And I hate to say it, I do hate to say it, but the average YouTube user is not well versed enough in YouTube to know that, oh, well, Phil probably put it in the playlist in order, I'll just watch the playlist. They don't do that. They go to their sub box and they click manually on each video. And I know that's ridiculous, but that's the bottom line. A lot of YouTube users don't learn enough about YouTube to know that playlists exist and that they work. So people just weren't watching the videos.
It's a convenience thing, though, Phil. Darkside Phil uploaded this right here? Okay, then fair enough. And then they click the video right there from that link. Now, Phil, what if the whole content ID thing had messed up your playlist? What if it had disabled your playlist? Then there'd be no playlist to go to. On top of that, in 2013, and I'm just guessing, by the way, because I wasn't watching YouTube at that time. Yeah, I don't think I was watching YouTube at that time, to be honest. How many people were really using a playlist for the amount of content that they were pumping out? If you got to take that in order too. You can't expect all these people. He almost treats YouTube in a lot of ways, or he treats the subscribers, his fans, if you will, as worker ants, like they're workers for him. And to be honest, this goes back to my whole spiel about Phil never did this alone. Everybody that was around him, who ever did anything for him, he used them as workers. He treated them, in my personal opinion, like employees. The viewers are no different. Oh, well, I need you guys to watch these videos and support me. Oh, and I need you to watch them in order too. Not so you guys don't miss you know what I'm saying, the story and its progression, despite the fact that back in 2013, as Tevin as well as other people who watched his content back then pointed out, that, to be honest, most of that shit was dead weight anyway. A lot of that was 10, 15 minutes of him just traveling in certain games, or him just moving from one place to another. There was no real content at all. You know what I mean? That gives you an idea of what kind of wasted space that was in some of these videos that he praises about, that are supposed to be the accumulation of what makes up his legacy on YouTube and on the internet as a whole. Yet again, something to think about.
They were going to my YouTube channel, and the things were all showing out of order, and it was funny because it would be like, oh, parts 32, 33, 34, and 35 all have really good maxed out views. You know, they max out at those 300 views and then they lock because they were in order in the last four, but ports in the 40s showed up before them, so no one watched them because no one even knew that they existed. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like, Mamma Mia, give me a break. Are you serious? And yeah, it was just a complete clusterfuck mess this week because of fucking YouTube. And it's completely stupid, okay? Okay. So, here's the deal. Right now, I have some, I think it's like up to 46 or 48 Fallout 3 videos that are live on DSP Gaming, and they're in a playlist that's correct. So if you actually go to the playlist right now and just press play, you can watch the playthrough in order. I know you can't do that on your own subscriptions page. I know you can't do that on my channel. You have to actually do it from the playlist, and I apologize for that.
And who wants to go through the trouble of doing that? Hence the reason why they have the subscriber feed through their YouTube, through either email notifications or on their own page, through their subscription page. So you sitting there chastising people, mainly kids, for not going to your playlist, just it's a bit disheartening in a lot of ways that a grown man would expect kids to go ahead and follow these type of instructions, when how often back then did he tell people, hey guys, on top of the notifications for my individual videos, check you're always welcome to check the playlist on, I would assume you had to go to his channel at the time to do that, to check the playlist on my channel and you can watch everything in full. How often did he say that? You know what I mean? It's like you want these worker bees to do everything in order, but they still need instructions. And yet again, they're supposed to be there to enjoy your content. It's not supposed to be a job. It's not supposed to be a chore, if you will, to go through this process. You're the one who chose to do this for a living and not look for a job, right? You're the one who chose to cash out your 401k, right? Or your nest egg that you had at your previous job so you could do this. No one has to be in a scramble to do anything but you. Just my opinion, of course.
That's YouTube. YouTube sucking my fucking taint, basically. Alright? Okay. So, that's the deal with Fallout. Now, I actually have another, I believe it's another 11 Fallout 3 videos that are saved up that I have not uploaded. Well, I don't want to say uploaded. I have uploaded them, but they're still set to private. I never made them public because there was such a mess with all these videos being in the wrong order. I want people to have a chance to try to watch them. So my plan is that I'm going to, over the next couple of days, probably release a few new Fallout videos a day. And when I say that, maybe like 5 or 6 for the next 2 days so that I can balance it out with other content that I'm uploading. And speaking of which, I guess now we can get into that. There was a change in plans. There has been a change in plans. Originally, John Rambo was actually going to be here tomorrow, and we were going to do a new episode of Smart Guys, our wrestling commentary show. And we were also going to simulate the Extreme Rules pay-per-view matches right here live on stream on Twitch, and also saved and uploaded to YouTube like we usually do. Well, unfortunately...
Now, let me talk about that real quick. So, the relationship between John and Rambo is an interesting one. So, I was asked recently, hey, GTG, would you go over the John Rambo and the Howard video? Now, I've done that before. I've done that twice, I think, that's on the main channel. One of them is a Gout and Wine, and I think another one's just labeled John and Howard. Now, what I need to do is I need to actually mirror that video. The reason it needs to be mirrored on this channel as well as the main channel. All detractors, should be honest with you, should mirror it. It's a piece of history that needs to be preserved and has been preserved very well up to this point. But I think even from the newer detractors moving forward, they should mirror it. They should mirror it because it's something that people need to see. Okay, so that's one thing. Anyway, I was asked if I should would I go over it. Like I said, I've already gone over it, but I'll go over it again. There's a reason why for that. I find in the John and Howard response that there's always something new that comes up in that video. I don't know why. It's kind of like if you watch a movie, like a movie that you really like, and you watch it a couple of times, especially over the span of like months, if not years, you always realize something new that you didn't notice before. And I feel like the John and Howard video is the same thing. There's always something that I never really thought about, or something that I may have missed that ends up popping up. It's a really cool thing. So I might do that. I don't think I've ever done it on this channel, but I've certainly done it on the main one. So expect that to happen. Probably around Thanksgiving, which is when they originally published it. Maybe sooner. We'll see. So that's the first thing. Secondly, let's talk a little bit about wrestling and Phil's relationship with it. I personally feel like Phil's relationship with wrestling is the same way as Amber Lynn Reed's relationship with food is. Bear with me on this. Phil, I don't think really likes wrestling. I think it's one of the few easy talking points that he can come up with on his stream, but because he's so far behind on it, he doesn't want spoilers, and that's why he doesn't engage into a lot of conversation on it. So that's kind of fucking himself on that one. Two, and I think it's one of the few things that brings him the nostalgia and probably even a lot of ways the joy that he had when he used to be with John, because John is a wrestling head. I think he might still be, but he used to, well, at least at WWE. Well, no, I think John watched everything. I think Phil only focused on WWE or WWF at that time. But anyway, it's one of the few things that kind of tie John and Phil together in their friendship. It was one of the aspects of it, if you will. And John points that out in the John and Howard response, that when Phil moved, when he reached out to John, he was like, "Hey, John, tell me, when you want to start Smart Guys back up again, because I'll start watching wrestling again." And John immediately was like, "Well, you haven't been watching wrestling? You haven't been watching?" And that told him that maybe you're not really a fan. Maybe you're just doing this as a point of content. I think that now. I think that if Phil doesn't do a wrestling show on his own because he can't carry a video on it. And I think he knows that. The second thing, though, is I think it's just one of the few things that he shared with John that brings him nostalgia. When he sits on his couch or his love seat or wherever it is that he is watching it, he imagines that John's with him, or he reminisces about the times that they had together when they used to watch wrestling and talk about it. I don't think he actually likes WWE, I should say. I don't think he actually likes it. I think it doesn't interest him anymore. I think he does it for that reason. But I don't think that's the only reason. I think in some ways he still hopes that John will call one day and admit, or message him in some way, shape, or form, and admit that in his words, reach out to him, say he's sorry, and Phil will think, oh, well, we can pick up where we left off, which is just not going to happen. John didn't do anything wrong. He did everything correct. I think Phil still thinks that one day maybe that'll happen. And it's not. It's not going to happen. I think John is strong enough of a person on his own merit, that he's never going to do that. If Phil really wants this to work out, Phil's actually going to have to work for it. And Phil's not used to doing that. So all Phil did was try to find other people to occupy his space. But it's not the same. He gives a shit about, I think he honestly gives a shit about John. I think his pride overtakes that. I think his pride wins out. I think Phil constantly tells himself, because I know he has to, at least a couple of times when he's drunk at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, that, let me just call John and just say I'm sorry and whatnot, because I want John back. And then the other little part in the back of his head, call it his depression, call it whatever, says, no, you didn't do anything wrong. And you already told everybody you didn't do anything wrong. If you admit that you're wrong now, then people are going to look at you as a loser and people are going to laugh at you. And he lets that win out. And the more he does let that win out is more and more time he loses with not just John, but with OJ, with Howard, with all these guys. He missed out. Think about all the years he's missed out on. He's missed out on their lives, those guys getting married, those guys having kids, all of that stuff. He missed out on all of that. Not even just the FGC. You know what I'm saying? Shit or whatever. He just missed out on the aspects of those guys' lives. Let me give you another example. Recently, Chris Matrix just got married. As you know, him and IFC Yipes are best friends and whatnot. Yipes was at his wedding. They posted pictures on Instagram, or sorry, a few on YouTube, but a lot of it's on Twitter. And what them dudes have been friends for a long ass time, man. A lot of dudes came out to that wedding because those guys know a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? You don't let pettiness like that. You don't let small pieces of pettiness ruin friendships. And that's what Phil did for the sake of his pride. For the sake of his pride. You don't think people like, you don't think, you know what I'm saying, Yipes and some of these guys may have not had a small disagreement? You have a small disagreement, you take a couple days, you get a breather, you come back, you settle that shit like men, and then everybody keeps it moving. After a day, after a couple hours, most people realize, you know what, that was stupid. Hey man, my bad. I don't know what happened. I'm tripping. My fault. Hey man, it's no problem. I was wrong on that shit too. You give daps, you go out, you get a beer. You know what I'm saying? That's how people let shit go. People don't do what Phil does. Unless you're petty. Unless you're just petty. So think about that. So when you see Phil come up on stream and those few, and if you noticed it more and more, he actually looks dead at the camera sometimes in a glance. You see how miserable Phil really is. You see how lonely he is. He can go ahead and prop up, oh, my life is so great with Jasper and my wife, Catherine, and we love everything that we have here, but look at him. How happy does he look? Look at his behavior. Does he come across like a happy person? If your life is going so well, you can treat the internet just like you're supposed to treat the internet. Whatever happens on there, it stays on there. You don't give it any more life, you don't give it any more energy, you don't give it any more breath than you have to. But Phil don't do that. He lives for the drama. He lives for it because it's all he has. And I think wrestling is one of the few things that he uses to try to hold on to John as long as he can. But that's slipping away too. Just my opinion, of course.
Fortunately, here's what happened. Last week, John Rambo came over on Friday so we could do co-op gameplay. And we did, and we enjoyed it. And that was because on Saturday he was planning to film these critical scenes of Schnoz Man and Hole Punch, which he's been waiting like forever to film. He's had nothing but problems with the series, trying to get locations settled, trying to get actors to show up. And I feel real bad for the guy because I had the same kind of situations with Project 7, but we didn't have anywhere near as many problems as he's been having with Schnoz Man and Hole Punch. So, what happens last Saturday? Torrential fucking downpours in Connecticut. So again, he can't film the scenes that he wants to film for his show. So it's kind of bullshit. It's really annoying. And so this week he all of a sudden gets word that the actor who was supposed to come last Saturday but didn't because of the torrential downpours may be able to come tomorrow. So I said, you know what, John? I completely understand, all right? Yes, the pay-per-view simulations probably would have done better views-wise on the stream and on YouTube if we could get them on before the pay-per-view actually happens. But you've been working on this series so hard for so long, and I feel for you, and I know exactly what you're going through. You do what you got to do. I think it's more important if you can get these scenes shot, just do it. So that's what we're going with. Tomorrow, John will be busy with Schnoz Man and Hole Punch. We've rearranged our schedule. He's not able to come over on Sunday, but he's probably going to be here on Monday. So we will still be doing the Extreme Rules pay-per-view sims. We will still be, having those matches on stream and on DSP Gaming. It's just going to be Monday instead of Saturday. And again, apologize for that, but that's life. And I'd rather have John, work on his series and get it done rather than just have it wait even longer, okay?
Now, let me point out a little bit of something that we do know about John's kind of work schedule, if you will, as well as his project. John was an independent, I don't know if he is now, but he was back then an independent contractor, which means that the days he takes jobs and goes to work are the days he gets paid. With that being said, when he was going off and making what was a 3-hour round trip to visit Phil and to, play whatever games they wanted to play for their playthroughs and so on and so forth, or whatever the wrestling podcast or whatever the case may be, is a day that he's not working where he could be potentially making money. Guaranteed money, all he has to do is go. You know what I'm saying? All he has to do is show up on the job site or whatever the case may be. So you're already seeing John making strides for a friend at his own personal cost. Now with Phil, if you remember what he just said a minute ago, yes, it would be great to have the simulation out before the actual wrestling event itself. It'll do much better on YouTube. More money would be brought in. But John needs to work on his project, and I'm okay with that, so on and so forth. He has to do what he has to do, so on and so forth. Keep in mind, though John was being compensated at the time, that part about it could do better, the actual podcast itself would do better on YouTube, and all the proceeds that come from it, that shouldn't have even been part of the conversation. That right there is just to alert the audience, if you will, his fan base, that hey, when it does drop, please come out and support it, because we're losing, or Phil theoretically, but in truth, you could say both of them to some degree, are going to lose money off on it because of the time frame difference. But in actuality, that shouldn't even been brought up. Hey, John's working on a personal project. He's had some setbacks on it, but he really wants to get this complete. That's what he's doing, and that's why this isn't going to be coming out. When it does come out, you guys will know. Check your notifications. But also, I would appreciate if you guys would check out the episodes that John does have out for Snozman and Hole Punch that are out right now, and show John that support, that you guys are there. You can't wait to see what he has coming up next, and you appreciate the time and effort he's putting into it now. It would be great if Phil could have done that, but he didn't. He tried to come across sympathetic at the end, like he gives a damn, and he's a good friend, and he wants, he's doing this for John's for John's benefit, if you will. But in actuality, and given how time has over time, how Phil has truly shown who he is, I don't think that was necessarily true. But it's just my opinion, of course. Wah wah.
So, that's the deal. Now, what does that mean? That means that tomorrow I'm free. So that means that today I went and got Metro Last Light. Now, immediately I just picked up the game. Oh my God, what does that say in the corner? Uh-oh, everyone. Everyone knows that the PC version is the superior version, you motherfucker. Why'd you buy it for Xbox 360? There's a reason why I got it for Xbox 360. There's a very good reason. It's because I don't have a headset right now that will work with my PC, okay? Why don't I have a headset that will work with my PC? Because my Turtle...
Even if he had a headset for his PC, he still may have not played it on his PC. So that might have not made a difference either which way. You know how hard it is to get him to play anything on PC now. It's like pulling teeth.
Beach headset died last week. So if I were to do it on PC, I wouldn't be able to actually have headphones and hear surround sound. So now a lot of people are probably saying, well, I don't understand that. What about the replacements that you ordered, yada, yada, yada. Well, I did order replacements. I've ordered 2 brands of replacements. Because at this point, I'm so fucking frustrated with Turtle Beach that I do want to try another product line. Now, I just want to let everyone know, Turtle Beach did contact me this week. They did give me full RMA information. So they are going to take back these Earforce X7 headphones and are going to test them and give me a replacement if they really are busted, which obviously they are. However, that could take a month. In fact, they even said, oh, it's going to take us 2 to 3 weeks to review them once we get them, and then we may send you a replacement. And in addition, which I really didn't appreciate, they said, by the way, we're not providing any shipping materials whatsoever for this return, so you go buy a fucking box and packing materials yourself and make sure that it gets to us. To which I'm like, that's an RMA process? No, you should have a box pre-made, sent to me. I put it in the box, I slap your label on it, and I mail it out. Not now I have to find a fucking box to put it in to return your headphones. But there's good news. The good news is one of my sets of headphones did actually arrive. Haha! The Triton Pro Plus True 5.1 surround headset. It is the red version.
Now, I want you guys to think about this for a minute. This dude right here is trying to get a replacement for his headset. He's in contact with them. All he has to do is send it. In the meantime, he bought 2 other pairs of headphones. 2 other pairs until he can get his either I think it's Turtle Beaches, I can't remember. When he gets his original ones back, or Astros, one of the two. This is what kind of money our boy was throwing out at the time. The same type of money that, ladies and gentlemen, that detractors talk about all the time, that if he had saved, he would be in a better situation now. Phil talks about his declining income on YouTube. But if in the early years, not days, not months, ladies and gentlemen, not weeks, in those early years, if he had saved his money, the bulk of it, he'd have been fine. I had a conversation, some of you guys might remember me talking about this, if not, I'll do it now. Me talking with G-Money and whatnot. If you guys are familiar with the main channel, you know what I'm talking. You know who he is, and good friend of ours, very good friend of ours, who is well entrenched in the YouTube. And he had speculated. Well, I had thrown some numbers at him, and he basically helped give me a better range for it. That back in Phil's early days, ladies and gentlemen, he was, when he was making between 15 at some months, but certainly when he was averaging at about 13 million views a month. Back in the early YouTube days, with Machinima overpaying the shit out of him, which Phil has admitted. We're going to talk about that in a future video. On Machinima repeatedly having to cut him back because they were overpaying him from the get-go. That Phil possibly was making 200,000 plus a year. Now, back in 2017, just to give you guys some perspective, Phil in 2017 squeaked by with over 100,000. He squeaked by with over 100,000 in 2017, which is, the year of Apocalypse and all the nonsense that kind of played out of that. Okay? So we're talking about now between late 2010 and 2013, when money was real good. When Phil himself describes this period of time as the gravy train, milk and honey. He was making so much money, it was ridiculous. Strange how he never saved any of it, or didn't save much of it, but ridiculous money. We're talking about a guy who owns a condo that he's paying $1,200 on, has a $400 car payment, lease payment on the BMW outside, which is funny because he says this was an El Cheapo make and model, yet you're paying $400 a month on, but whatever, semantics. And just utilities. He could have squeaked around. So we're talking, at best, you're talking about $2,500 a month and he'd be fine. He's possibly was making close to $20,000 a month. 20K, possibly, keyword, possibly. 20K a month. The way it was calculated, he was probably making about $200,000 a year. Mr. Medicare recently, not recently, but in a couple months ago, from the time that I'm recording this, I should say, said that, or he has at least in he surmises that Phil might have made $1.7 million in his time on YouTube. Just YouTube, by the way. 1.7 million. That's a lot of money for someone who is begging for money like this, the way he's doing it now, in the year 2019. He made a lot of money, ladies and gentlemen, in those early years. Lots of money. He can sit there and try to downplay it all he wants. Wings tries to do it too, and Wings gets called out on that. Wings was making really good money too. Wings of Redemption was making real good money early on. A lot of YouTubers were. A lot of YouTubers in the gaming sphere, were making ridiculous money on YouTube. And you're seeing, and Phil is the low end of the gaming spectrum. And I swear to you when I say this, he was on the low end of the spectrum because he didn't have the longevity on top. When he screwed himself over, well, he was already declining in views, but when the whole thing with the false copyright strikes came out for the fan art, and he deleted those videos, he screwed himself. he screwed himself massively. But he was still, even back in his day, he probably wasn't even mid-tier. When you think about the amount of money, when money started to come into this YouTube situation, ladies and gentlemen, was when people up their quality, when people up their content, because you want to get as much viewers in as possible. Phil, in his heyday, was, you could speculate, it was somewhere between, 13 to 15 million views at his height, possibly. 13 has definitely been solidified, but it could have been as much as, on some months, 15 million views a month. Ladies and gentlemen, there were YouTubers back in Phil's day who could pull that in a week. You have some of these gaming YouTubers out here, especially these Call of Duty heads. Some of these Call of Duty dudes could pull that in a couple of days. The pub stompers back in Phil's day made ridiculous money. Ridiculous money. And so this is what, and back then with Machinima, and that's why Machinima tried to gather up everybody they could get their hands on, is because if they were shelling out that type of money to people like Wings, who it definitely is one of the forefathers of the Call of Duty commentator community, who made a good deal of money in his day, as well as some of the other people around there, X-Jaws, iFly alumni, Randy Savage, Marka J, 402 Thunder, Jive Turkey, the COD scientist, Fisticuff, El Presador. Like, them dudes made dough. Those guys made ridiculous money, and the majority of those guys that I named were all under the Machinima umbrella. Sorry. Let me slow it down. All of those individuals were under the Machinima umbrella. And I'm just talking about gaming right now. You're telling me if they're shelling out that type of money to Phil, you telling me that they're not making ridiculous money? Yeah, Machinima end up crashing and burning later on, but that's what happens. They ain't changed hands so many times from an ownership standpoint that you can't be too surprised. And so in a lot of ways, Phil fell for the same curse, for the same frivolous archetype that Machinima did. He talks about how bad Machinima was run as a company, as a business. Look at how bad he ran himself into the look at how he ran his business, allegedly. Or his so-called business. Look at how he fell apart. It's an amazing correlation if you think about it. But like I said, with these headsets, look at how he's burning his money away. And he could. He did that on a whim. He did that on a whim. Maybe if he lived within his means, when it was time to buy that house, he could have gotten himself a reasonable loan with a large amount of money that he could have put down forward. On top of that, he could have owned that house outright by now. Actually, let me precedent this before we move forward. There's no reason why that condo in Connecticut shouldn't be paid off, clean and clear, and already sold to somebody else. And there's no reason why his house in Connecticut shouldn't have already been paid off. That's just my opinion. If Medicare's numbers are right, and I'm pretty damn sure they're close, if they're not right on the button, if you made 1.7 million, if I remember correctly, so please give me a little bit of wiggle room on that. If you made 1.7 million over the span of your YouTube career, and Phil's sitting here now telling us that he doesn't have any money in his bank account at all, there's a problem. On top of the fact that his mother and father were giving him money year in, year out, or month in, month out, I should say. Month in, month out for years. Because when they called him every week, or when he called them every weekend, the first thing that comes up is money. So think about that. And like I said, that 1.7 million is strictly YouTube. We're not talking about PayPal. We're not talking about Patreon. We're not talking about Twitch. We're not talking about Teespring. We're not talking about any type of the other sponsorships or whatnot, ladies and gentlemen. We're strictly talking about YouTube.
That's right. They're kind of orangish red. They did awry. However, these only work with the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 out of the box. They do not work with the PC out of the box. So that's what I mean. If I'm going to play Metro Last Light tomorrow, I wouldn't be able to use these And I think that's bullshit. And the other thing is, there's an adapter that you can buy that this will work with PC. It's completely back ordered. It's been back ordered like forever. So I don't know if it's even possible for these to even work with the PC. It's complete nonsense in my opinion. But I'm going to see if maybe...
Which means he never was going to play... he was never going to play Metro on the PC ever. He's giving you all the excuses right now on why he couldn't. To be honest with you, he was giving them all the excuses on why he wouldn't. Sorry, not excuses. He was going to give them all the reasons why he wouldn't.
I can get these to work on PC eventually, but right now I'm going to have to focus on what I have. Right now I have this, and it works with console, so I did get Metro Last Light on the Xbox 360. So, I went and got it. So what does this mean? This means that tomorrow, starting tomorrow, we're going to have an unboxing of Metro Last Light. It is the limited edition that apparently has free DLC content. And there is additional content that I got for pre-ordering at GameStop. So we're going to look at all that tomorrow. That's going to be here on the King of Hate... Well, I don't want to say here because you might not be watching this on the King of Hate Vlogs. But that'll be uploaded to the King of Hate Vlogs. Okay?
Okay, so you pre-ordered that. Hence the reason why you were able to get all the bonuses and everything. Yet again, only solidifying, ladies and gentlemen, that he was never going to play that for the PC. Never. And why would he? Yet again, that right there is a smoking gun right there. That debunks anything at all about this whole, oh, they don't have the adapter, because I'm sure there's an off-brand adapter he could have picked up at a GameStop or at a Best Buy, which he frequented both because he actually left his house to go and do shit back then by himself, that he could have picked one of those up. You know what I mean? He had opportunities, he had the means. He chose not excuse me. I'm sorry, excuse me. He chose not to. He never had any plans to do it at all. He fed you every... He gave you the reason why he couldn't. He gave you what he has, and he was basically like, you need to just accept it, because this is how the position is going to work. This is how the situation... I've already bought all this stuff. Sorry. But don't worry. I got the special edition. I have the bonus, which has bonus content with it. And since I pre-ordered it, I got even more bonus content. It's not the PC experience, but who cares? I have it on console, and you guys will deal with it either which way. That's a smoking gun. He never had any plans to get it on PC. Ever.
Then the playthrough will begin. Now, I don't want to promise anyone a time, because right now I am, tired from travel. I'm going to try to sleep in a little bit, but more than likely I'll be starting playing by my usual time, which is anywhere between 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see what happens. So it's going to be tomorrow 2 streams of Metro Last Light. That's right. I'm going to be doing one earlier on in the day and one later in the day. And those videos will be saved as well, direct capture, for upload to YouTube. Now, here's the cool thing.
Now, this goes back to what I said earlier. If he didn't try to basically shovel all that content out while he was on vacation, he would have had enough content to spread out to where when he came back, he says he's tired. That makes sense. Anybody's come back from vacation. It takes you a little while to get back into work mode, if you want to consider what Phil does work. But anyway, he would have a couple of days to kind of just chill. He wouldn't have the pressure to perform, if you will, And he could have started the playthrough without it actually going live, for a day or two, whenever he feels like playing, and then he can get back into his whole swing of things. Or he could have held a private stream or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could have just given himself a couple of days of layover. So this way the playthrough doesn't seem forced. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. And that's really, yet again, him turning it into a job. This is supposed to be a hobby that's now paying him. He's making a livelihood out of it. But the reason why he hates it the way he does now is because he put himself in position to hate it. If you enjoy what you're doing, ladies and gentlemen, whether you do it for free or you're doing it for a profit, if you enjoy it, you don't look at it as a job. Phil turned it into a job. He needed to justify to people that what he does is important. And the only way he could do that is to make it seem like it's a job. Yet again, ladies and gentlemen, he did it to himself.
Here's the really cool news that I think people are going to enjoy. I now know that YouTube schedule uploads do work as long as you don't get copyright issues with your videos. And I haven't had any copyright issues with my videos in years. It's like literally been years. All of a sudden this happens with Fallout 3. It's bullshit. So, what I'm going to be doing is, for example, probably tomorrow I'll be recording hours of footage, like 5 hours or so of gameplay, if not more. Now, obviously, I don't want to upload all that at once. Do you really want to see 45 videos of Metro Last Light tomorrow on DSP Gaming? Probably not. You probably won't have enough time to watch all of them, and people will probably complain that I'm flooding their inbox. So more than likely what I will do is I will upload maybe, I don't know, 15 videos, 20. We'll see how many people really want tomorrow. And then maybe I'll pair that with making another 5 or 6 of my Fallout 3 playthrough videos live and adding those to the playlist. So we'll have a solid day of uploading on DSP Gaming, but if you're available to watch streams tomorrow, it's going to be a smorgasbord marathon for you. You're going to definitely want to watch here on Twitch because Metro Last Light is going to have 2 streams here on, excuse me, on Saturday. Now,
I want you to talk to you a little bit about that. So this is his first run on Twitch, right? So this is him with the high bit rate. This is before he got caught, if you will. We're talking about someone who, at a minimum, back in those days, was pulling in at the minimum 3, 4, 5,000 viewers. At the minimum. That's what kind of viewership he had. 2013. 2019, he can barely hold 3. If it's drama, or if it's possibly a new game, 4 or 5, and he might only hold them for an hour or 2. Look at where he was, and look at how he fell. And he believes that that's everybody else's fault but his own. He didn't appreciate those people back then. There are videos, ladies and gentlemen, where we're gonna go over it. Don't worry, we're gonna go over them. Where he complained about only having 3,000 people on stream. He complained. And this is back in the days of Vidal and all them dudes, and they were throwing major money at him. I think they said Vidal was averaging like 7,000 a year that he was spending on Phil. Might have been more than that, but I remember someone throwing the numbers at me at like 7,000 a year. And that's from one guy. It might have been more than that. But at least 6, we'll say between 6,000 to 7,000 a year on Phil. We're talking about the days where he would get, $50, $60, $70, from a single person at a time, no problem. And walk away from each one of those streams with a couple $100, if not more. And now he'd be lucky if he can walk away with $70 or $80 from a stream. His failure, ladies and gentlemen, or life in general. Well, no, his failure. His failure is very much a fist that's slowly closing in on him. And he doesn't have anywhere else to really go. He's closed himself off from everybody. We're talking about at a time where he's on Machinima, and there was a lot of people. I'm going to use the Call of Duty community because, I'm most familiar with that. Those guys used to do dual comms, and they did collabos all the time. Not everybody, but a lot of them did. It was a smart way to get exposure. It was a smart way of getting a cross pollination between audiences. It was the best way to do it back in those days. And Phil had opportunities to do collaborations with other content creators, and he chose not to. He thought he was better than them. He thought he was better, or he thought that Machinima should set him up with those arrangements, that they should go ahead and set those appointments up for him. They don't have to do any of that. They don't have to do any of that at all. So now, you jump to 2019, Phil's a relic. The only parts that the people who are okay with collaborating with him are those who feel sorry for him. Everybody else, and you're going to see this, I think, more in 2020. I think 2020 is the year you're going to see this. You're going to see more people start to take advantage of him. Right now, in 2019, we're coming off of the Bad Bunny situation. There's another thought out there that's potentially going to try to milk some stuff off of him. And I think he has a couple interviews lined up, right? Or he has one interview lined up. Because he had the opportunity with the Drunken Peasants, which was going to help him because they wanted to go out of their way to prove that was more depth to Phil than what there was. Sadly, they were wrong on that. And that didn't happen. He has another interview lined up with the Quartering. We'll see how that goes. But I smell I assume, I smell blood in the water on that. I assume quartering is just there to take advantage of them. But when that happens, we'll do the interview. We'll wait and see on that. But in 2020, I think is when you're going to see people really start to take advantage of them. Because, ladies and gentlemen, similar to what happened with Wings recently, Wings will generally talk to anybody. So it's funny how Wings ends up having that piece by Frederick made on him, that down the rabbit hole. Then Frederick jumps into him, runs into him on Discord, and then they have a conversation which turns into an interview. Now Phil wants to do an interview. As time goes on, and depending on how that interview plays out, it's going to be very obvious that Phil will be willing to reach out to other people as long as they're willing to fit certain criterias, i.e., are they going to make it a softball piece, if is what I'm guessing, and is he going to get paid for it? And some people might pay to do it, not because it's going to be financially feasible on YouTube, but the long-term opportunities off something like that could be useful for them anyway. Phil is just a relic. He's a dinosaur, as one former fan of his once said, who's clinging on for everything he can. I meant that metaphor. He's holding on to whatever he can. He's desperate. And as more and more content creators see his desperation, which we've all seen for years, they're going to swoop in and do it. There's a lot of content creators out there who Phil talks shit about or talk shit about friends of theirs, that they'll swoop in, throw him a couple $100 just so they can humiliate him for an hour or two. Phil thinks it's good publicity. In actuality, it was nothing more than a joke for them to laugh at later on. Or you might have people who actually feel bad for him and might try to do an interview with him. And Phil's going to let his guard down. And then Gold Desk comes up that's going to haunt him for years to come. It's a double-edged sword either which way. But Phil is setting himself up to be taken advantage of. The thing is Phil just wants positive spin. Phil believes, in my own personal opinion, that this can still turn around. That he can still make 200,000 subs, and when his YouTube is pretty much over anyway because it's supposed to be just an archive channel, that he can still gain relevancy back on YouTube. Because Phil doesn't do Twitch because he wants to. He hates Twitch. He hates streaming, I think. If he could come back to YouTube and make 100,000 plus on YouTube, he would. He would in a heartbeat. And he would deal with the detractors if he still could, because he's still making a living. He does Twitch only because he has to, not because he wants to. And I promise you, the thin sheet of ice that he's still standing on is growing thinner and thinner by the day. He's not going to last forever over there. The personal biases that go, the personal bias or biases or bias, we'll just say that personal bias that goes on there, that goes on Twitch for certain people, eventually it's going to consume Phil, because eventually you're going to need some fat to keep the fire going. Phil's a pretty good piece of log to throw on the fire, especially what some of the articles that are being written on him. Are they going to go anywhere? No, but now they're on the internet. They're not going to go nowhere. There are people out there that are looking into Phil. And they're not coming out and saying it publicly because most journalists don't have to do that. They can take their time with that. They can be cerebral. So who knows what 2020 is going to look like for Phil? But it's not going to be good. And the charade about him being broke all the time and all these overdraft fees and all this bullshit is not going to hold up next year. It's really not. But we'll see.
Excuse me. Sunday. On Sunday, same thing. I'll be playing more Metro Last Light. It'll probably be less gameplay than Saturday because on Sunday I'm actually going to be going to dinner with my parents, and that always takes up a big chunk of my day. So there will be multiple streams of Metro Last Light. Just going to be less gameplay on Sunday. However, the playthrough will continue on DSP Gaming, and again, probably my final batch of Fallout 3 videos will also go live. Okay. Now, in addition to that, I may or may not be playing some Injustice in the next few days. I haven't played the game now. I haven't played the game since Lobo was released, the Lobo DLC. and that was a week and a half ago. So honestly, I really like Injustice. I am fiending to play it a little bit. So there's a possibility that maybe Sunday or Monday, one of the streams will be Injustice, okay? So just so everyone knows, I'm not promising that, but I know a lot of people love my Injustice gameplay. They want to see more on stream and also on YouTube, and that may be coming, okay?
And that false sense of feeling important is an amazing aspect of him too. And he does that now, where, oh yeah, you know, I haven't played this game in a while, but all you guys love it so much and whatnot, so it'll be coming back soon. But then when he plays it, whatever game of choice, insert game that he's failing at, there's no viewership for it, and there's no contributions or support that's being presented to him. There's no tribute being given to him while he's playing it. But see, that's one of the factors, ladies and gentlemen, that keep him moving. That he has to believe that the 250, 300 people who show up to his streams actually care about him. He has to have that. That's what gets him out of bed. That's what puts one hoof in front of the other. If not, then he's losing any self-worth that he ever had. And which is one of the fundamental problems of Phil Burnell, and it's one of the fundamental problems of thinking that the internet's going to love you, or, well, that does love you, or is going to love you forever. It's just unrealistic. Everybody has their time, and then it passes. You know what I mean? Some people last a lot longer than others. But you have to be solid within yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Any of you who are content creators, you know what I'm talking about. Or any of you who are inspiring to become content creators, your biggest fan, your biggest supporter, the person who has your back before anybody else has to be you. It has to be you. And you have to be solidified and solid with that. If not, you're going to have problems. You're going to take every comment that's said to you to heart, and it's going to discourage you. And if you're discouraged, it's going to make you not want to do the content. You know what I mean? You could have 100 people who say that they love your content, and you have that one person that comes in and says, oh, I don't like your audio issues. I'll use myself for example. Oh, I don't like your audio issues, or I don't like your delivery, or I think you shit on Phil too much, or whatever the case may be. There's a bunch of valid arguments, to be honest with you, or valid criticisms. You could let something like that come in, and that could screw your whole day up. You have to be stronger than that. You have to be stronger than that. And that and other content creators will bash you sometimes too. So let them. It's a free country. Let them have their opinion. Keep it moving. And take what you get from the criticisms or whatever the case may be. Take what you can out of it and keep it moving. And that's the important thing about content creation, is there is no winning formula. Unrealistic motherfuckers like Phil have always been looking for that. But there isn't one. There isn't a surefire way of doing anything. You either copy people who are successful, or you make your own way. And if you're going to make your own way, you have to constantly be adding to it. You constantly adding things to it, taking things away. You're constantly trying to reform it. You're constantly trying to mold it into something better. If you do not have that mindset, you're not going to do well. It is what it is. You want the best example? There's a bunch of examples, but Snore Purnell's changed up quite a bit. Mighty D is constantly forming up. Almighty Tevin's one of your best examples, to be honest with you. He's constantly changing, trying new things. And if you watch him on Mixer, you really see it. Like I said, man, I really wish he was still on Twitch, because it would only solidify Phil's failure. Imagine Phil now having 250 people, 300 people on Twitch. And then you have Tevin over there who has 700, 800. Now imagine off that, you have someone like LSB who sized a stream over there and has 200 or 300 people. So now he's matching Phil in views, playing his games, playing the games that he wants to play and doing his own content. And then you have more and more of people from the detractor community going over there and choosing to do that without being falsely taken down on some bullshit. That completely fucks Phil over. And Phil knew that. That's why Phil had to get Tevin up and off that platform. That's the reason why he had to get They Call Me Tex and Bill Purnell. That's why he had to get them off that platform. He could not let those people surpass him in viewership. Because they're already killing him over here on YouTube, they're already demolishing him. And they're already demolishing him on Twitter. He can't have that on Twitch. He's not strong enough to have that, to live with that, to deal with that. And that's why he had to get him off. Now, here's the thing. He had to get them kicked off is what I should have said. Now, the real gold dust, ladies and gentlemen, is how did Phil do it? Now, Tex, this a couple months ago, actually finally got a response from Twitch and found out why him and what he surmises Bill ended up getting knocked off for, which was for their names, which is petty that Twitch would knock them off for that dumb shit. But we still don't know what ended up getting Tevin knocked off. That's one of the great mysteries of that whole situation with Twitch, is we don't know what exactly it was that got Tevin kicked off. Hopefully one day we'll figure it out. Hopefully.
People are saying Batgirl comes out on Tuesday. Are you serious? Is that true? Is Batgirl really coming out on Tuesday? That's crazy fast. I did actually buy... Yeah, people are saying that. Phil, Batgirl comes out on Tuesday. Wow, I didn't know that, so thank you for telling me that. What that means then is that basically I will be balancing that in at some point this week. There's 2 new releases to Tuesday then. There's Resident Evil Revelations, which I'll be starting, plus I guess that Batgirl DLC. So probably that's what I'll be doing. I'll be playing both of those on Tuesday, on stream and uploading to YouTube as well. So, alright, I'm glad people told me that. Okay, so Metro, headphones are attacking me. Metro Last Light will be starting tomorrow, continuing Sunday and Monday. And then Tuesday, as I said, Resident Evil Revelations and Batgirl. So it's going to be a jam-packed week full of all brand new content. Finally a week where I'm not playing old games because there's enough new games to fill the week. Hallelujah. Okay.
Also, I want you guys to look at the dichotomy between then and now. Now, all he wants to do is play all the old games, and he's skipping out on new ones. So we have a shift where he looked at the old games as something as space fillers, if you will. Just something to kind of hold off until the next great AAA release. Now, he has all these reasons in the world why he can't play a triple release or why he can't afford it. So now he wants to play old games. He wants to play retro games now. And he's conditioned his viewership for years that, oh, we're supposed to be hyped for the new release because this is going to do really well for Phil, and in turn that's going to do really well for us. And now that the new releases aren't out, or he can't afford them, no one wants to see the old shit. And then the new releases that are out, he wants to keep skipping them because he says they're not going to be very good. Or he doesn't think it's going to work out well. Like Phil knows anything about his own business. If you took DSP Gaming, or KO Gaming, for that matter, and put that in the hands of anybody else, they would have 500,000 subscribers by now. He says that, you know, he put in all this work and he put all this time in. As John and Howard said in their response video, it's amazing that he was able to make it to where he made it, and he deserves credit for that. If you really look at that statement, though, it's even more true than you would have actually expected. It is amazing that off brain-dead, lazy content that he was able to get this far. It's very, very amazing. But it also explains why he never hit 200,000 subs, or 500,000 subs, or 1 million. It's not that surprising when you really think about it.
All right, I already explained to everyone about the headphone situation, that I did get my replacements. However, so now you might be saying, all right, so how am I going to get those Turtle Beach headphones back to Turtle Beach? Well, there is some good news here. This set of Tritons, or however you say it, actually came with a box from Amazon that it looks like they may actually, the Turtle Beach may fit right in it. And if that's the case, I'm just going to use that box to mail those off and hopefully get that off. Get that off. That sounds sexual. Hopefully get those out of here this week at some point. So Turtle Beach ones will be en route back. Tritons I'll be using over the next few days with Metro Last Light. I've actually got a set of Astro A40s also on the way. They're coming this week. So now we're going to have a real comparison, a triple threat between these 3 sets of headphones, and I'll be able to tell you which ones are the best. Okay. Alright, so there's a couple other things that we can talk about. I've been mentioning over the past month...
Also, I'll give him a little bit of credit on that. If you think about it, when it comes to the whole thing with the headsets, it's smart how he kind of looped back to it. By giving all of his criticisms about the headset and how the company is running all this dumb shit, and then circling back around and saying, well, I have some good news. You know, I'm gonna get my. I have these Tritons. I'm gonna get my replacements on the Turtle Beach, I believe. He has the Astros coming, and that box will fit for the Turtle Beaches, so he can send those back. And then eventually he'll have his Astros, and then eventually he'll have all 3 sets. He can turn that into, if he hadn't already, turn that into a DSP tries it or whatever the case may be, and bam, he's gonna make all the money back. He's gonna make all of his money back on those on all 3 of those headsets off that DSP tries it, possibly, if the views are good enough on it. Because yet again, you know, ads back then were running really good. Machinima was overpaying him. He probably broke even at the very least, or one of those headsets didn't get covered, but the other 2 certainly did. If just to give you guys an idea of the money he was possibly, keyword possibly, was making at that time. So he wasn't losing out. You know, Phil talked about the milk and honey days, and then he says he didn't really make that much and all this silly shit, but I think he was telling the truth the first time. Because why would he lie? Why would he lie about it was milk and honey and he could put anything out there and it got crazy views and all? I mean, the proof is kind of there. You got detractors who confirm that.
By now, it's been a month. I've been talking about it. That, number one, the Machinima app launched on the Xbox 360, and that I was a top partner and that my content was going to be featured on there. Number two, I actually received something in the mail that's really neat that Machinima sent to me as a part of this promotion. They wanted me to do a special unboxing video and use that video to help promote the Machinima app. And that's great. However, guess what? They promised me that a week and a half ago, on May 7th, that I would be on that app and that my content would be featured. As of right now, because I actually checked before I even started this video, I'm still not on there, okay? They did not come through on their promise. It's absolutely ridiculous that a company would tell me to promote something. They even had me create a special video to promote the app, and I made it and sent it to them right on time that I was supposed to, and they've not come through on their promise. Now they're telling me, oh, there's delays, we didn't realize it would take this long. Great, then why did you tell me to promote this app and tell everyone that my content would be on there on May 7th? Why did you send me something that I'm going to make an unboxing video to promote it if I'm not on there? It makes no fucking sense.
Now, I do think that's a blunder, sure. It is, but back then, apps were finicky. There still are, to be honest with you. So, that kind of is what it is. But at the same time, though, ladies and gentlemen, it's fair to say that they still came through with part of their commitment to him, because whatever the item was that they sent to him, they did send it. He did get it. So he made the promo video. They still have it. His promo video hasn't been featured yet because they haven't got the app working correctly yet. At the same time, he does have the item, which he's going to keep, obviously, and he can make the unboxing video. It's not like he has to wait until he gets promoted to make the unboxing video. Just make the video. If they never do the unboxing, or if they never promote your thing and they never ask you for the unboxing video, you scrap the video and you still have the product. Why is he treating this shit like it's a big fucking deal? You know what I mean? Like, it's funny how he doesn't, for someone who's worked in an office before, right? Or just worked a job before that, not everything's going to work out the way they say it is. 2, they didn't promise you shit. I doubt. It said they actually sent you a note in their contract or in their agreement promising you something. They didn't do that. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, do this, we do that. Now, they'll still do it. It's just a delay on their part. They're telling you that. But they did send you an item in good faith that you're supposed to do the unboxing on. If they never ask you for the unboxing video, you still keep the item. So you didn't walk away empty-handed. But see, Phil needs to have the whole chimichanga and the dessert and everything else. And he wants another one to go. He needs to have everything. You know what I mean? And it's funny because when Phil didn't come through on certain playthroughs, or when he rage quit shit, he's quick to give you all the excuses. When his dumbass was up drunk, right, and he couldn't finish a playthrough because he was too loaded to do so, or he was too tired, or too hungover, or he ate too much food the night before and he's bloated, or whatever the case may be, he can make excuses for all that. But if a company says there's going to be a delay on this, but we still sent you this product here, so at least go forth with that, he wants to sit there and question, the validity of that. Well, the company is only as good as the workers. And look at how you, as a worker, as an employee, because that's what you are, Phil. That's what you've always been. That's what you always will be. Look at how he reacts to it, or look how he conducts himself. He's supposed to be a business owner, ladies and gentlemen. Look how he conducts himself in his business over the years. He's never been a business owner. He's never. It was never. He was always a paycheck because he did work. He was an employee. Period. He never ran his own business because his business, ladies and gentlemen, depended on other people. It depended on a bigger company to cut him a check, which means he's an employee. Period. That's all he's ever been. He acts like an employee. To be honest with you, he acts like an employee. Well, he acts like someone who's in middle management, who wants to strive to actually get up there into actual management. Well, and to, I guess you would consider this stage management, and then actually become a partner, if you will, start getting into executive officer status, and he can't because he's too lazy. Because I've seen plenty of them.
And it's annoying to me because I feel bad now that I've been telling everyone for weeks that I would be on there, and it's just a stupid mess. I'll be honest, it's very unprofessional. It really is. To have people who are your top people promoting something and then you don't follow through on it. And let me give you a little hint on something. A lot of people want to know why I never played Hawken. Okay? They want to know, Phil, you saw it at E3, you played it, you said you liked it, and you promoted it for a little bit, and then you never really talked about it again. Why didn't you play Hawken? I'm going to tell you why I didn't play Hawken. It's because there was another promotional thing with Machinima where they wanted all of us to be talking about Hawken and playing it as the beta was released. Well, guess what? Every time that a beta was supposed to be released, it didn't work. They would say, oh, the beta's coming out on this day, and you should play it and make gameplay videos and show everyone Hawken. And I would log in, and they would say, sorry, doesn't work today. Oh, servers crashed, doesn't work. So every time that I had an opportunity to play it, it never worked. Now, later on, it eventually did work, but at that point, I was so busy with other stuff, I wasn't going to drop everything I was doing to play Hawken. Okay? So it was absolutely a ridiculously handled mess. It was a very
Now, oh shit, this is the Hawken story. Okay, so quick background on that. This was the one and only time that Phil was invited to E3. And he's mentioned this plenty of times before, but as the years gone on, he has divulged more and more about the story. I think, honestly, the reason why he was never invited back out to E3, at least on the behest of Machinima, is because he didn't play ball with this deal right here. But not only that, they had a deal when Machinima was promoting Mortal Kombat, when they were doing like I guess their live action series or something along those lines. I saw it years later. And they wanted him to promote it. They asked a bunch of partners to do it. And it was just a small little B-roll that would come on some of your videos. I think they might have even been, some of them anyway, might have been at least compensated for that too. Meaning that they get a little kickback for having it on their channel. Phil's an idiot, of course. So he said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to promote that on my channel. Now keep in mind, he's an employee. He works for Machinima. So in truth, in a lot of ways, it was a courtesy for them to ask you, but you still should have done it because that's part of the Machinima brand. And if you want to look at it from a business standpoint, ladies and gentlemen, if that brings in extra notoriety and extra money as a partner channel, that trickles down to everybody else. But since Phil didn't want to play ball, that right there was another strike against them. Now, because he didn't want to promote Hawken because the launch was bad, and as I'm sure launches back then were bad for a lot of games, he didn't want to play it. He didn't want to, he didn't want to come through this, that, and the third. He didn't want to re-promote it again, if you will. Because of that, Machinima never invited them back. Someone took notice that, okay, hey, we reached out to Dark Side Phil. He says he's not going to do it. He's not interested in whatever, so on and so forth. Oh, okay. Well, go ahead and just take him off the list for the next E3 then. We don't, if he's not willing to play ball, we don't need him. Because that's how companies work. Companies pay who they need to pay when they're ready to do so. Companies will promote people when they feel that they need to and whenever they're ready. It works no different. Those who who can see the bigger picture and see what's best for the company are the ones that are generally promoted because they can see the larger picture. Now, don't be wrong, and if any of you guys have worked in the corporate environment, that shit gets kind of slimy, that shit gets kind of cutthroat, it gets backstabbing, it can get all those things. But if you're talking about just from the corporate aspect itself, you only get out what you put in. So for Phil, who plays games for a living, it would only make sense, okay, they flew me out to promote to the Hawken, to E3, the Hawken party. Now, the launch didn't work out very well. They're asking me to re-promote it. I've already gotten a free trip out of them. Sure, no problem. Do that. Keep it pushing. Keep it moving. And then this way, okay, hey, Darkside Phil did this for us. The next time a promotion comes up, we want him on that list. Because if you're not going to play ball, they don't need to keep putting you on the list. Your viewership was already starting to dwindle at that time anyway. It was already starting to tank. And it makes sense, ladies and gentlemen, if you go ahead and take that story, you take the situation with the Mortal Kombat live action, you take who knows what other offers he pissed away, and then you think about all the times that they asked him, or they brought him to the table to renegotiate his contract, it kind of makes sense why things worked out the way they did. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, even with, because I'm not trying to defend it, with the false copyright strikes that were done by detractors against him and so on and so forth, it seems like he was dwindling anyway. And it seems like a lot of that was on his own. So to reiterate, the reason why he was failing on Machinima and then inevitably him getting kicked off of Machinima was all his fault. Not the detractors that came before, not the boogeyman, Fred, or the SOK, not Tevin. It started with him. He wasn't willing to work hard. He wasn't willing to put down the foundation. He wasn't willing to reach out to other content creators and build friendships, build partnerships. He doesn't even have to be friends. Build partnerships. He wasn't willing to do that. He failed himself.
Copy. And eventually, I just lost interest. I was like, how many times are you going to tease me and tell me that I can play Hawken on this day at this time, and then it doesn't work? I'm just not, I don't care anymore. I have other things to do. So I moved on. I never played Hawken. Guess what? Now the same thing with the Machinima app. Oh, it's going to work now. Nope, sorry, it doesn't work. It'll work later. Oh, tell them May 7th. Nope, sorry, it doesn't work. It's like, how many times can you give me this and then take it back? I just don't care anymore. So is it good if my stuff eventually does show up on the Machinima app? Of course it is, especially because they actually said I will get credit for those views on those videos, unlike if you watch my videos through the YouTube app, I don't get paid for those. So am I happy that there's another medium people can watch my content through? Absolutely. But what's the point of me ever talking about it if I have no idea if it'll ever go live? Okay? In fact, now this coming week, I need to write an email.
Actually, that's kind of crazy, because if you think about it, ladies and gentlemen, if he actually made money off the YouTube app, back in those days, his reach would have probably been a lot larger, or he certainly would have made more money. He would have made way more money, I think. I'll definitely say that he would have probably made way more money if people could have accessed him on the YouTube app back in those days. Holy shit! I didn't know that. Well, they can access him, but he doesn't get paid for that, I should say. He might have made more money, possibly. Wow, that's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy.
Ultimate Machinima again. Gee, Machinima, is my content ever going to be on there? Because they actually told me that this coming week is when they wanted me to film and publish this unboxing video, and there's no point in me doing that if my content isn't on the app yet, and right now no one is. And that's the other thing I do want to say. It's not that it's just me getting screwed. I don't want my fans getting upset about that and thinking that I'm getting screwed over. It's not just me. No Machinima partners have been added to the Machinima app. And we're talking the big guys like SSOHPKC. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Tobuscus, Toby Turner, his gaming channel. None of them were ever added. So why would you tell everyone to promote it if you just had no control over the process? It's a horrendous business practice. Obviously, there's something broken there. And this is coming from someone who does continuous improvement work. I'm actually certified to map out a process, a business process, and improve it. I would love to see their process for this because it has to be fucking horrendous, okay?
Interesting point on that, too. So he talks about this whole thing about continuous improvement, and yet he never, ever could figure out a way to improve his own, air quotes, business. And then on top of that, he ends up getting fired. Now, I think that's probably completely unrelated, but if one was to make the argument, he ends up getting fired, right, for his continuous improvement, and then all of a sudden the business tanks like 5 years later. It just, I'm not saying there's a direct correlation between any of that, but it does make one think, don't it?
Okay. So, sorry about that. I had to vent on that. I had to vent. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about, because this is a big issue. This is a huge issue for anyone who uses YouTube and uploads videos. It does not matter whatsoever if your channel is partnered, okay? If you just care about your videos getting views on YouTube, I want to warn everyone. The very strong rumor is that within the next 2 weeks, by the end of May, YouTube will be forcing everyone to change their channel to the new OneChannel layout. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, consider yourself lucky, okay? This new OneChannel layout, why they call it OneChannel, here's their reasoning. They realize that mobile devices like cell phones, iPads, touchscreen tablets, laptops, they're all being used increasingly more. In fact, they've actually found, they did research and found that approximately 30% of the traffic that goes to YouTube is on a mobile device. So that's about 1/3 of their business is on mobile devices. So what they're doing is they're creating a new channel layout that will basically supposedly display the same no matter what device you're on. I guess what a lot of people have been complaining about is that on mobile devices you have to go to the mobile version of YouTube, and it kind of sucks. It's very limited. You can't do a lot on it. It's hard to find stuff. It's nothing like the actual desktop version of YouTube that has all these features and everything in it, so you can easily find playlists. You can easily go to your channels of your favorite YouTubers. So they designed this new channel layout that's going to display slightly differently depending on what device you're using. However, you're still going to see the same thing on every device. There's one problem with this. It looks like shit. It literally is a white fucking page with one picture. That's right, one banner. No longer are there going to be channel backgrounds. No longer is there going to be any creativity or any kind of artistic design whatsoever with YouTube channels. All you're going to have is one banner that you put on your channel, and a portion of that banner will show up on mobile devices, a larger portion will show up on desktop PCs, and then for people who watch YouTube on their TV, who the fuck watches YouTube through their TV without another device connected? I don't know, but there's going to be an extra large banner that people can see, okay? So this is their brain.
Gives you an idea of how short-sighted he is, by the way. So that's kind of funny.
Idea. This is the biggest thing they've come up with. Now, here's the thing that's the funniest part about all of this. So, this new OneChannel layout is going to completely make everyone's page look like a white blank page. It's going to look boring as hell. All you get is a banner. And the reason they're doing this is because 30% of their business, the views that they get is from mobile devices. But guess what? They never fucking fix the ads on the website to work on all mobile devices. So anyone right now who uses a BlackBerry, anyone who uses an Android, anyone who uses an iPad, anyone who uses these mobile devices that they're completely changing their business for, they don't make any money on it. So they focus their entire business on 1/3 of their viewer base who they don't make any money on. This is like business 101. Anyone who knows anything about fucking business knows you don't spend all of your time and efforts catering to people who don't pay you money. What the fuck?
Ladies and gentlemen, you have to spend money to make money. And you have to have the infrastructure in place before you can profit, which sounds like what they were doing. If you don't invest any time or effort into anything, nothing would probably ever get done. Amazing thinking there, Phil. You have to spend money to make money. You don't just start a YouTube app and then just start making money off it hand over fist. You have to set the infrastructure first. The taking away the customization and whatnot, them having to basically do like a blanket design for every person on YouTube, it kind of sucks, and that was kind of probably a blunder on their part. They could have easily, if they probably could have fixed that, especially now. They won't because it's easier this way, but they could have fixed that. They probably couldn't have. It didn't have to be that way, but whatever. So I think I have to kind of be on them. I have to kind of be there with them on that. At the same time, if you're going to a mobile device or a tablet or whatever the case may be, you can't expect to have all of the aesthetics. You need to still have the functionality. As long as you have that, that's what's important. Can I click on this person's channel? Can I watch this video? Yes, then that's really all you need. If I want to see all the bells and whistles and shit, then guess what? I'll wait till I get home, or I'll wait till I get to the office or whatever the case may be and get to a computer or a laptop, and then I can go through all that. So that's there. So, or at least that's how I feel about that. As for the spend money to make money type situation, that's life. And that's why Phil doesn't update anything that he has now, because he doesn't want to invest in it unless there's a guaranteed return upon investment. And you won't know until you do it. Something, yet again, ladies and gentlemen, this unrealistic motherfucker has not learned. He hasn't figured that out yet, which is very, very strange. Very, very strange. And this also speaks to his greed. 70%, he's still getting paid. He thinks that it's any more effort for him to have it on mobile, and it doesn't cost it. It isn't. He's going to keep doing what he's doing. He's still going to get paid. Is he getting paid the full 100%? No. Machinima was fucking him from the hop anyway. They were fucking a lot of people, but whatever. They were overpaying him too. But either which way, that doesn't necessarily affect him. You can't count phantom money. You don't like how it works out on how it works for the mobile. Okay, that sucks. But guess what? It's going to take time. Nothing works overnight. Just because YouTube is set up and has been set up for X amount of years at that time, doesn't mean that when they move to the mobile market, the burgeoning mobile market, if you will, that it's just going to work right away. Yet again, a fucking moron. He sits there and tells you guys day in, day out that I've worked at a desk job, continuous improvement. I understand how business works, but he really don't. So, yet again, it only makes me question, well, why the hell did they actually fire you, Phil? What's the real reason why they fired you? And what was the reason why they ended up why the whole company fall apart 5 years later? How much damage did you cause that they couldn't clean up? I don't know.
What are they thinking?
And realistically, I don't think he was the reason why that company fell. That helicopter company went out of business. I don't think that. Even he doesn't. He doesn't have. I might spit out a lot of propaganda, but even I don't think that's the case. It's just funny to say it.
Complete assholes. Okay. Now, it's just like, okay. Anyway. Why is this a big concern? Okay? This is the thing. Why is this a big concern for you and me? Okay? Well, for everyone. Here's why. First of all, YouTube has completely taken away the autoplay feature on your channel. Let me repeat that. YouTube has completely taken away the autoplay feature on your channel. That means that when someone visits your channel in the future, it's no longer going to automatically play the video that you want them to see. So let's just think about this. Over the course of a day, you know, a couple thousand people may watch my channel. All right, for smaller YouTubers, maybe a few people visit your channel, but still, people will go to your channel. Oh, here's the video you want them to see. It would automatically play, and you would get credit for a view. Gone. YouTube.
He's mad about that guaranteed money that he was making off people seeing his channel. Because remember, back then, ladies and gentlemen, when he moved from viewer based to ad based, it didn't really matter how much of the video they watched. Hence the reason why he liked the 10-minute format. They show up, they end up getting hit with an ad from the hop. He gets paid. It doesn't matter if they watch the rest of the video. Or if it's view based, yet again, the moment the video locks in, you know what I'm saying, or it starts, bam, he gets his credit for it, he keeps it moving. This whole thing is about money. It's not about people enjoying his content. It's not about the quality of the content. It's about money. He's mad that he's not going to get his guaranteed money off the rip to the, I'll go by his numbers, the 1,000 people who show up to his channel who don't know who he is. Or the couple of thousand people who are returning to his channel and whatnot. That guaranteed money is gone now.
Removed it. It's done. Why? Someone tell me why. Was it annoying that the video that you felt was the most entertaining video or the most recent video that you wanted a person who's visiting your channel to see doesn't autoplay? Like, what is the purpose of that? So what does this do? It means that for the common person, you will not get those bonus views. And I hate to say it, but for me personally, being that I have been tracking my views and everything over the past several years on YouTube, a big chunk of the views you get on a daily basis are...
Keep in mind, this is 2013. He didn't start getting paid till what? End of 2010, 2011? Yeah, he didn't start getting paid till like end of 2010, sometime in 2011. Yet again, does this sound like someone who just fell into this? Or does it sound like someone who's been planning for this to work out, to come into play like this for a while? He was already making money off the vlog channel. All he was waiting for was for YouTube to finally realize, hey, this gaming thing is bringing a whole lot of views. We can monetize this, and we can branch out to these game companies, give them free publicity. They pay us some money for the ads. I mean, 2 plus 2 still equals 4. And I think Phil, like other people, because I'm sure he was listening to a lot of the rumblings that was going online, knew it was coming too. Doesn't sound a whole lot like he just fell into this. It sounds like he's been waiting for it.
From people just visiting your channel and that video auto playing, you have just lost all those views. They're gone. So as soon as the OneChannel layout launches, immediately you will have a drop in views. And if you're a YouTube partner who makes money off of the ads on those videos and those views, gone. Immediately gone. YouTube doesn't care about you. All they care about is their stupid ideas, and they think they know better than you. So fuck you, fuck the user and the uploader, fuck all of you. We're taking away autoplay. That's change number 1, okay? Now, here's the other thing. Some people may be saying, well, I don't understand because I just went to, I don't know, iJustine's channel, and iJustine is on the new format, okay? And I can actually see...
iJustine is the young lady who Phil accused of getting gangbanged at the EA offices, and that's how she ended up becoming the host of a gaming gaming award show. Just a little bit of background on that.
Uh-oh. Is everything okay with the stream, everybody? Hold on a second. I think we had a blip.
He said it was a joke, but it was a joke in very poor taste.
Stream, but I think we're fine now. It looks like there was a
Which is funny, too, because when Phil's caught up in his feelings, he always makes these really stupid, sexist, racist jokes. It's funny how that always happens. It's always when he's caught up in his feelings. Like, oh, that's an opportunity I should have had. But you don't talk to nobody, you don't know nobody, and you don't do anything. So why would you get that opportunity? Very strange.
Blip at some point where the stream like conked out, but it looks like it's fine now. Sorry about that. Alright. You might be saying, why is it that I have gone to people who have adopted this new channel format and I'm seeing a video autoplaying, okay? That's not the same as what autoplay used to be. What you're seeing is a video that's a special video that you are now going to have to be forced to make, by the way. I just want everyone to know that. If you have a YouTube channel you upload videos to, you're going to be forced to make this video. They call it your channel trailer, okay? What it's supposed to be is a video where you explain to everyone what your channel is about, and this video will only show up if that person is not subscribed to your channel. So only in the case that someone is just discovering you for the first time and has not subbed, when they go to your channel, they're going to see this trailer auto playing, okay? So you might be saying, all right, well, that's a good trade-off. All right, maybe my subscribers I won't get credit for their views when they go to my channel and a video auto plays, but at least I'll be getting some extra views and extra credit for these ones for my channel trailer, right? Okay, maybe, but check this out. I did some research on it. And those trailers, those channel trailers that are going to autoplay when people who are newcomers to your channel show up, or people who just...
That research, by the way, is more than likely that YouTube community forum that they have. The same forum that he talked about recently that was useless and didn't have anything on it worthwhile, and it was really just a joke. More than likely, that's where he got his information from, if I had to guess. Either that or Twitter, if Twitter was around at that time, or Twitter. I'm pretty confident that's the two places he ended up getting his information from.
Just never sub to your channel show up, don't have ads enabled on them. Okay? They don't show ads. Even if...
Yet again, crying about money.
It is claimed, even if you've enabled ads on it, when people come to your channel and that plays, no ads. So if you're a YouTube partner, if your channel is partnered through a third-party network, like I am through Machinima, you will not get credit. You will not get credit for those video views. So even though you...
It's a video view, by the way. It's because it's only on one video. It's promotion. Yet again, you have to spend money to make money. And we're supposed to be drawing new people in. Sorry, Phil. You're not going to get your cheap little dollars off reoccurring views. It's not going to work that way. If people are coming to your channel, more than likely they're going to click at least one video. So you're not going to go ahead, Phil, because this is how the scheme I'm thinking worked for Phil, is they come in, they get auto-played a video, they watch a few minutes of it, and they're like, well, let me check the playlist and so on and so forth. Then they click another video. So even if the person doesn't stay on his channel for more than, let's say 10 minutes, he already has two views and or ad clicks off of them. He automatically wins. Now, he doesn't even get that. Now he only they'll get the trailer if they're new to the channel. If they're someone who's already subbed, then he gets one view off of them. No double dipping off of the fan base, Phil. Off of the viewership. Sorry, Phil, that's not how that's gonna work. And that's what he's mad about.
Get the views? They're worthless. So you're gonna make me make a channel trailer that's worthless. Okay? What the fuck? Now, let me clarify, because I did test this. If you click on the video directly, that channel...
Of course he tested this.
...trailer, and it opens up in a new tab or a new window, then it displays ads. But it will not display ads on your channel as it autoplays. So, what the fuck are these idiots at YouTube thinking? Like, how stupid can you be? On day one, when they force everyone to go to the OneChannel layout, you're going to see everyone's view counts dip significantly, and you're going to see everyone's ad revenue dip significantly. So whether or not you're partnered on YouTube, you're fucked. When OneChannel launches, you're fucked. Less views, less money for you. Wow, this is a great business practice to adopt to accommodate only people who 1/3 of the business are viewing on mobile devices, and we don't even have fucking ads enabled on those devices anyway. What is going on with Google and YouTube? Like, who is in charge making these calls? How do they not know? Anyone who uses YouTube on a daily basis would understand how batshit fucking insane this new YouTube OneChannel layout is. What is going on?
Now this comes yet again, ladies and gentlemen, from someone who believes that everybody is doing YouTube for money. Which the demographic, not even half the people who were on YouTube were doing it for money. Probably less than that. Yet again, especially back in his day. So yet again, weird type of mentality. Very strange. Very strange that to push his narrative, everybody has to be doing what he's doing. Everybody has to believe in what he believes. Everybody has to be thinking the way he thinks. Very, very strange. But whatever it takes to keep your own personal opinions and or biases alive, right?
Would love someone to answer. They won't, because they have no customer support. They have no way to contact them about anything. When my ad revenue and everything goes down, I can't complain because they're fucking idiots. They don't have a business that's interactive with both the user or the content creator. They don't give a shit because they think they know better than everyone else. It's this high and mighty attitude. oh, we're the creative people. We're the people who make all the fun ideas, so we know better than you, and any change that we have will force down your fucking throat, regardless of the fact that every single time YouTube forces a channel layout change, they get overwhelmingly bad, negative feedback saying we don't like the changes that you've instituted, you've taken away too many features that were useful, and you're negatively affecting everyone on YouTube. They don't care. They do not care about you. I fucking hate Google. I do. I hate them, okay? Even though they're my lifeblood, they're the reason why I was able to have a hobby of gaming on the internet. They're one of the worst business models I've ever fucking seen in my life. Coming from a business major, a finance major, again, someone who does continuous improvement work, who has completely revamped business processes and made them more efficient, their business is...
And yet you couldn't save your own business, you couldn't save your own finances, you couldn't even save your own life. You had to rely on other people to do so. Even at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I surmise that this guy was still accepting donations behind the scenes. Because, let's be honest, if he's accepting donations back in 2010, 2009 behind the scenes to help buy games, you think just because he starts making money, he's going to tell people, no, I don't want your $10, I don't want your $20, I don't need your $100? No. No, ladies and gentlemen. That's not what happened.
That shit insane.
And that's why he needs videos like this. He needs videos expressing the problems and the issues with YouTube. Because it only paints the narrative that, oh shit, I think Phil might be in trouble this month. Because YouTube ain't fucked around and did all this messed up stuff. I gotta support him. Think about it.
That YouTube is still in business is because they have the most money to throw at server space, and they let you upload unlimited amounts of videos for free in HD quality. It's the only fucking reason that they're still #1, okay?
But it's also the reason why you shut the fuck up and you keep doing what you're doing. Because you're not paying for server space. You're not paying into the very business that you're profiting from. Which makes you what, Phil? An employee. Because if you were actually a business, you would actually pay into it. You would actually invest into it. You would actually have, I don't know, safety nets for yourself. You had none of those things. You say you did, but you obviously didn't. It was obvious that the cult that you cultivated around you was the actual backup plan. They were the retirement plan, which you've been using for quite a bit for the last couple of years. You were never a business owner. And I'm tired of people, I'm tired of hearing, not really people, I'm tired of hearing you say that shit. You were never a business owner. You were an employee. That's all you were. That's all you ever were. Just like those people at Funimation, those voice actors and whatnot. They're all employees. The ones who aren't employees, like at least the way I look at it is Vic Mignogna and Chris Sabat, they actually own shit outside of what their job is. You know what I'm saying? Like, they actually own shit. I think one had like a publishing company and the other one has a recording studio. That means they have something. That means they've invested their money, their own personal money, into something else to make them more money. That's what a business is. For example, when Vic Mignogna doesn't have to go to the studio with the other voice actors to record, and he can do that all in his own personal recording studio at home, that doesn't make him an employee. That kind of makes him an independent contractor. You don't believe me? You guys should check out, if you ever get the chance, listen to the deposition of Monica Rial. And one, it's amazing to hear how bitter she is, but also she explains the difference between her and the rest of the voice actors, right, who had to show up every day and do the projects that they were paid for, and then how Vic conducted business. There's a difference.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So, alright. I'm done talking about that. I just want to warn everyone. When the new OneChannel layout launches, everyone will be negatively affected. People should seriously, like right now, spread the word. Because I haven't spoken about it that much. Because I was somehow in some pipe dream hoping that eventually I wouldn't be forced into it. But now it seems like it's becoming common knowledge that it's coming. So
here's the funny thing. He thought that this wasn't going to affect him. That because he was part of Machinima and he was a partner, that he was going to go away unscathed. He wasn't going to have to bleed, if you will. But now that he's stuck in there with everybody, so he didn't want to say shit about shit. If managed partners weren't affected by this, or channels of a certain size were excluded from this, he wouldn't have cared. He wouldn't have given a damn. Oh, that's not my problem. Just like all those years when all these people kept talking about how Machinima was fucking them over, and Phil was like, "Oh, well, that has nothing to do with me. They do well by me, so I'm not worried about it." Same concept. Moment though it starts affecting him, now he's crying, complaining. Now he wants people to spread the word, and now he wants people to speak up. But when he thought it wasn't going to affect him, he had nothing to say. Yet again, it gives you an idea of what he's like as a person. Think about it.
Spread the word, let everyone know this is coming. It's going to be a bad thing, but you have to get ready. You have to make that stupid banner. That's right. You have to make a banner for your channel, or else your channel will look white with nothing, okay? You need to make a channel trailer and have it ready, because if you don't, that day when it goes to OneChannel, you'll be fucked. No one will be seeing that. You won't even have anyone know what the hell's going on. So, just a preemptive warning to everyone. Spread the word about the OneChannel coming soon. Ugh. Alright, and now, finally, we're going to talk about the big one, the elephant in the room. I'm actually going to hold on to my little buddy here that I got at the Philadelphia Zoo to look at him so I could smile and say, he's cute, wow, put me in a good mood. Well, forget that, because now we're going to talk about Nintendo, alright? Nintendo. What happened to Nintendo?
Actually, let's talk a little bit about what's your thing with petting zoos and zoos in general. Don't get me wrong, I like going to the aquarium, but then again, I like the ocean, so that's a thing and whatnot. But so I can kind of understand that. But like, it's kind of interesting to have somebody who's in his 30s with no kids constantly going to the zoo. Seems kind of, I guess it seems kind of weird. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. I guess going to the zoo is cool every once in a while, but Phil really likes going to the zoo, especially petting zoos. Maybe it's a thing.
What happened to Nintendo? Okay, seriously. They were like the biggest. They were number one. They were in sync with the fans. They were in sync with what everyone wanted, and they just went off the rails, man. Like this past decade, I don't know what happened with shift in management or whatever. They just don't know what to do anymore as a gaming company. And they're
because the industry changed. That's what it was. The industry blew up as technology got better, then so did everything else around it. People started to push the envelope. And it's very, very hard to keep pushing out Mario every year. It's still hard to push out Mario every year. Is it fun? Yes. But is it gripping like it was? No. The gaming industry is just different. And nobody wants to have another E.T. Fiasco. And no one wants to have another gaming bubble happen. It's good. Now, he's lucky that didn't happen in 2013. It may happen, and it's not going to happen in 2019, I don't think. But it might happen at least next year. It could happen in 2020. Some people are talking about 2022. If not further out. Eventually, there's going to be another bubble burst. It's just how it goes. That's just how the market plays out. So back in those days, in the nostalgia days Phil's talking about, I mean, what was put out is what people had. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have as many options. Nintendo had the market locked in for the most part. And to be honest, with the PS1, I mean, really, well, let's go back a little bit. I mean, when Nintendo was out, I mean, what did they really have to compete with? Really just Sega. But then when Sony ended up jumping in and then Xbox ended up jumping in, it changed the whole market up. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about consoles that were more powerful. You're talking about games now that either have visual aesthetics that are on the next level, or just have controls in general. You're seeing different type of games come out. A lot of that was inspired by Nintendo. The market changed, just as it did with YouTube. And as with YouTube, Nintendo had as Phil did with YouTube, I should say, they had a hard time adjusting. Eventually, I think now in 2019, it's fair to say that they're better. They're better than they were in those, most people like to call the darker years of Nintendo. But that's a lot of growing pains. That was a lot of money that was lost. That was just a lot of trial and error. You know what I'm saying? You can't fall back on nostalgia forever. It's only going to get you so far. And that's what I said earlier. You have to continue to grow doing what you're doing. And that's in whatever you're doing. If you go to work, or if you're going to school, you should obviously be learning something. But if you're going to work, no matter what you're doing, and you're not learning anything, and if you're not learning one thing, if you're not taking one thing from that and adding that to the arsenal, which is your knowledge, then there's a problem. It means you're growing stagnant, whether because you yourself or the environment. Either which way, you need a change. Look at Phil. He's a fundamental example of what it's like of not learning anything at all and just growing stagnant. Any type of effort he put into anything was either bitching or complaining or figuring out how to play the system, how to game the system. That's all he ever did, is try to figure out how to cheat, how to lie, and then eventually how to steal to some degree. That's all he ever did. He never did anything meaningful. His 11 years, which I think is eventually going to be 12 years soon, was a waste. 12 years on the internet, 1.7 million made, and now you're begging and telling people that you don't have any money in your bank account. If that's not perpetual failure, I don't know what is.
Really seriously heading towards the way where they're just not going to be able to make gaming hardware anymore because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So it's not bad enough that right now the Wii U is a humongous, tremendous, ginormous flop. And anyone who says, "Oh no, you're jumping the gun, Phil," to say that, you have to have more faith, and because we know that it'll turn around and blah blah blah. All right, all I'm gonna say is this: it's not.
No, I have a Wii U, by the way. I love my Wii U. It's a great system. It's a little bit ahead of its time, though. There are things I can understand where Nintendo was going with it, but to be honest with you, and I'm not blaming us as the consumer, or I'm not even blaming the market, but I think it was a little bit ahead of its time. We weren't ready for it. Not for everything that it does. We're not ready for it. What we should have had back in 2013, respectfully, is we should have probably have had a Switch, maybe a downplayed version of it, but we should have had a Switch back in 2013, and we should have the Wii U now with some different aesthetic changes as well as some changes to the functionality. But to be honest with you, if it wasn't for the Wii U, and you see how that all plays out, we wouldn't have had the Switch. So it kind of all worked out. But yet again, you have to take some risk in business. You can't just expect everything to be guaranteed on your investment. That's like putting up a YouTube video and expecting every YouTube video you do to be a hit. That's going to get you 1 million views. That's just being unrealistic. Even for people who get 1 million views, there's plenty of really big YouTubers who have videos from VidCon and whatnot where they talk amongst each other, and they tell you that and these are people who do it for a living as well, and they tell you that, you know what, when I put up a video, I don't know what it's going to get in views, and they're that's the anxious aspect of it. There's one channel, I can't think of his name because I don't watch his content because I don't even know who he is, but he makes I don't know exactly what he makes, I should say, but from what they were saying, when he puts up a video, he gets something like 12 million hits per video, and he puts up a video twice a week. That's it. Now, granted, when I say he only puts up two videos a week and that's it, I'm not giving enough credit to the situation, i.e., the amount of time and effort that goes into that video aesthetically and so on and so forth. I've only watched half of one. It's definitely, the production's there, and you can see why people appreciate it. But but when you get 12 million per video, which is 24 million guaranteed that week, and then who knows whatever it makes outside of that. He says the most exciting part of YouTube is the anticipation of seeing what the views are, because he's like, any day on any video, a video might not do well. It might flop, or it may take longer for it to hit its million. He said that right there is the exciting thing for him. He's like, when you look at it from just a money standpoint, you start to, it's not fun. Because you have these high expectations, and if you don't hit those expectations, now you're like, well, am I going to be able to pay this? Am I going to be able to pay that? Or can I go and do this? Can I do that? Because you kind of already have a mental idea of what you're going to do with the money before it even gets there. And he's like, I never wanted YouTube to be like that for me, so I never did it that way. So that right there is an example of someone who makes far more money than Phil has ever made, and then the mindset that Phil has. Yet again, he put himself into that box. You know what I mean? And like I said, you're restricting himself. If he wasn't so greedy and maybe focused more on what the creative aspects were, who knows where he could have gone. But yet again, and this is kind of what I really like about doing these type of videos, is it's really more, it's not just a learning process, ladies and gentlemen, but it's a what if. It's a what if, and I'm presenting you, at least per video, as much background as I can, from a more future standpoint, if you will, to give you the outlook and whatnot. You see his mistakes now in hindsight. Now we dissect it and see why he made those mistakes and how those mistakes affect him now in real time. I think that's the fun part. But looking at everything from just the financial aspect of it, or look at everything in views and dollar signs, it'll make you miserable.
Not just me saying it, it's the business world.
And back to my original point, sorry about that, is with Nintendo, they had to take a risk. You have to take some chances. Do I think the system was a flop? Yes, sadly. I do think the Wii U was a flop. I think it's a great system. I think it's fun. I still have use out of mine. We weren't ready for it. We just weren't. It was. I respect how ambitious they were when they set out to it, but we weren't ready for it. The market wasn't ready, I think, for it. I think coming off of the Wii, as people like to call it, the gimmicky system, I think they could have gotten a couple more years out of the Wii than they did, and maybe they should have, and just constantly keep improving that. Eventually, the Wii U was going to come out, but I think they might have been in a better situation for it. It's hard to find a new Wii now, because trust me, I've been looking for one. Just to have a backup. It's hard to find a brand new Wii, unless you got to go through some hoops. Unless someone knows a website that sells retro. That's what I always wanted to ask. I need the access on the main channel too. If anybody knows a website that sells classic and or retro consoles or games, please let me know. You know, you can either let me know in the comment section, because other people might want to know also, or hit me up on Twitter. Either tweet at me or send me a DM. I very much appreciate it. Or you can email me. I don't think the email is on this channel, but it's on the main channel. Whatever's comfortable for you. You can leave, like I said, leave it down in the comment section below and whatnot. If you like, whatever's easier for you, because I'm asking you guys a favor, and I very much appreciate it, because there's I'd like to get a. Sorry, no, it's me time here. I'd like to get my hands on another PS2. The one I have now works just fine, but I'd like to get my hands on another one of those. I'd like to get my hands on a Super NES again. I have one, but you know what I'm saying? That shit's definitely a fucking antique, because it's been passed down between multiple brothers and shit. So I'd definitely like to have a brand new one of those. I know it exists. I don't know. Just anybody has a beeline on it, let me know. I very much appreciate it.
Finally, we have sales numbers for last year and the almost entire first full half now of 2013. It's official. The Wii U is the worst selling Nintendo console in fucking history, except for the Virtual Boy. Let me correct that. When it comes to real consoles, so I'm talking NES, Super NES, Nintendo 64, the GameCube, the Wii, and now the Wii U, it's the worst selling. No one wants it. It's not selling at all, okay? I'm not making this up. Business numbers, like there's hard evidence in the business world that the Wii U is not selling. As soon as that PlayStation 4 got announced a couple months back, that was it. It was like no one had a reason to buy a Wii U anymore. And the fact is that, okay, yes, Nintendo will be putting out great first-party games. When? They haven't announced any of them. They said there's going to be a remake of, what was it? Wind Waker, an HD remake. No information on release yet. We haven't even seen any videos of it yet. They said there's going to be a new Mario Kart, there's going to be this and that, but we have no solid info, so no one's buying the Wii U. So basically, I think Nintendo is in a situation where they don't know what the fuck they're going to do. They released a console that's supposed to be a next-generation console that's actually a current-generation console, and come just a few months when the PlayStation 4 and the new Xbox come out, it's going to be a last-generation console, and no one's going to fucking want it. So, a huge failure on Nintendo's part.
I do agree with him on that to an extent, though. To an extent, I do agree with that.
Use that as a preface to the conversation we're about to have.
But yet again, I also believe, though, that we just weren't ready for it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they should have held on to the Wii a little longer. And then they should have considered, you know, at a later time and date. But then again, yet again, look at the Nintendo Switch. So, you know what I'm saying? You have a flop, if you will. No big deal. They knocked it out of the park with the next one. And people feel even now that maybe we don't need another Nintendo system yet to come out with the next gens. It doesn't have to come out when the next gens come out, I should say. That the Switch can still hold its own for a couple years before that happens. You know what I'm saying? Before they need to come out with something to compete with the PS5 and the Scarlet. And I agree with that. I don't think Nintendo needs to worry about even trying to rush out another console. Stick with what they have. So, and hopefully they do.
If you're not aware, this week it was announced publicly, okay, by Nintendo that I'm gonna try to say this in a way that it makes sense. Nintendo had a press release where they said that as of a few months ago, they legally registered all of their games, first-party games, with YouTube, okay? What they're basically saying is that they feel that anyone who plays their games and makes a video of it and uploads it to YouTube, that they are owed money for that, okay? They're owed money because I recorded New Super Mario Bros. U and uploaded that to YouTube. Now, wait a minute here.
Now, that bleeds into what ended up coming up later. That if you guys know the meme, the whole I only have $7 in my wallet, that's the Angry Joe meme. And this is when people really stepped away from Nintendo, because basically Nintendo was like, okay, you guys are playing our stuff, we want a cut of the profits, because there was money to be made. And so they basically started a pseudo MCN, and you would have to register with them if you wanted. You would have to register your channel with them if you wanted to make Nintendo content. But there's a problem with that, because even though they can only monetize their Nintendo content, if you will, you would still be partnered with them. I don't know how that was supposed to affect the rest of your content that was non-Nintendo related. I can't remember how that worked, but I don't think you could have two managed partnerships from two separate companies. I don't think that was a thing. So that's the first thing. The second thing that made it a problem was you had a lot of people who were just Nintendo enthusiasts, call them fanboys, call them fanatics, call them whatever you want to call them, who were die-hard devoted to Nintendo. And it was kind of... And even those who were willing to sign the thing, whatever, most of them weren't even making anything off of it, they still kind of looked at it as a slap, because it was like, hey, we're giving you all this free promotion, now you wanting to cut in on something that, even if they're not even making any profits, now you're trying to cut in on this. And they were literally pushing big content creators to stop making Nintendo content. It was a really, like I said, those were probably the darker years for Nintendo. Eventually Nintendo lifted it after, I want to tell you it was like 16 months. It might have been like 2 years. Could have been even a little longer than that. They eventually lifted it because it was dumb, and whatever money that they were expected to make, it obviously didn't work out, and the hate that they were getting didn't balance it. So it is what it was. So it kind of gives you an idea of where Nintendo was at financially, which is only one aspect of many, by the way. But it just gives you an idea of what Nintendo was thinking at that time. They were kind of grasping. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they weren't the first ones to do that. There were plenty of companies, still even now, or publishers, if you will, who still put a bit of a... There's just certain games that you can't play for profit. basically. Not without them cutting in on a piece of that profit and you sharing it with a third party. Or through a third party. There's still companies out there that do that. So, it is what it is. Nintendo was just really blatant about it. And that's them not being able to read the landscape. They understand now. But, just something to think about. And also, now that I think about it, sorry, because, I talk a lot anyway. If Phil had worked out a partnership with Evil AJ when the whole "this is how you don't play" thing was birthed, which what I'm saying, that could have been money for everybody. But Phil tried to be an idiot, and his ego was getting at him. And he thought he could kill it, and he found out wrong. And now look at him. Now there are more "this is how you don't play" content creators out there than anything. You have people who aren't even exclusively content "this is how you don't play" creators who make it. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of people out here who just make "this is how you don't plays," and Phil can't stop none of it. But he could have, back in the day, he could have set the ground rules up, or the groundwork, not rules, but work up, to where everybody could have profited off of it. That could have been ridiculous money for everybody. But Phil's ego was too damn big. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't see it for the profitability. And it's funny because Phil says that, people are too sensitive online. Which, to an extent, that's true. But he, of all people, is a perfect example of that. It's a video game, ladies and gentlemen. It's a video game. And if you play it shitty because you're drunk or because you're just inept and you can't play a game, so be it. But if someone can cut out your bullshit and turn that shit into something entertaining and that shit gets 1 million views fast, you need to be reaching out thinking, hey, can we split can you make that? We put that on my channel and I will split the profits with you 50-50. Matter of fact, only because I'm a bit more generous than Phil is, obviously. I'll take we can do a 70-30. I'll take a 30% cut. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot. I'll give you 70 because you're doing all the real work. To be honest with you, you got to go through my bullshit and cut all that up. And we can do it that way. And they still going to walk away with money. Everybody's still going to walk away happy. Evil AJ probably wouldn't have even wouldn't have even asked for the 70. He might have been fine with 50-50. Most people are. Because everybody going to get paid. Everybody going to get money. And then if they do it off both channels, and then if they do it off each one of their channels and monetize it, that's even more money for everybody. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that just depends on how you want to work that out. But yet again, too arrogant, too stupid, too short-sighted, and now look at him. Now, he tried to, then a couple of years later, ladies and gentlemen, he tried to do his own "this is how you don't play" as they flopped. He got mad about it, that it flopped, and just completely gave up on it. While the rest of the "this is how you don't" plays continue to this very day. Can't do a damn thing about it. And now he runs around and says, they ruined my life. They ruined my life. Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Didn't I pay you for the game? Didn't I already pay you? So you already got paid for the game. Someone then went home, played the game, put in their own effort, their hard work, their commentary, created a completely different product from just the bare bones software of the game, then took the effort to upload it and promote it on a third-party website, made some money off of ads on it, and now Nintendo wants a cut. Okay? This is unprecedented. Never before has a game publisher done this. So this. Now
that we talk about that, let's talk about another hot meme. Phil or Tevin allegedly being this criminal. So Phil said, his meme take on this shit is that, well, it used to be, this is my art. I paid the $60 for the ingredients to make my work of art. Now it's twisted itself, which is fucking hilarious. But now his meme take on it is, when I bought the game, I own the licensing to that game, which gives me the right to put it online and profit from it. I'm taking it from the game basis itself. I'm adding all these things to it, and I'm transforming it into something else, which legally makes it his. Fair enough. Now, as funny as that shit sounds, though, because you don't have the legal licensing to shit, because you can't have a public showing of that in your neighborhood, Phil. You couldn't do that, and there is laws against that. You wouldn't be able to do that. So you don't have licensing to shit. If they come back and say, oh, we're going to take monetization off that. We're going to put monetization, and we're going to take the monetization on it. They can do that, and they can have the legal rights to it. You don't. So, yet again, so you don't own the licensing. You don't. I guess you just don't understand how licensing works. But whatever. We can get into that another time. But let's look at what Tevin, LSB, and anybody else who restreams Phil does. We're taking a bare bones product, and they are adding commentary as well as other things to make it into something that it wasn't originally. They have taken the original content and transformed it into something else. That makes it legal. Just as Phil takes the bare bones game, adds his shit to it, and turns it into a shit salad. Same concept. Phil thinks that people should go to jail for that. Phil was propagating for maybe a week. It was probably a weekend, really, that Tevin should go to jail because he's a thief, he's a criminal, and he had taken his shit. He had taken it, what he felt legally belonged to him. Until people actually looked into it. Not that they had to, because we already knew that was bullshit. But until people actually looked into it and realized that, yeah, they have by legal right to do so. They can do that. Now, Phil could put a lien on that through a third party, but he probably won't, because what Tevin and other people do is considered transformative. Pure and simple. The best thing he could try to do is do takedowns, which we've already gone through that saga, and that didn't work out well for him. So, with that being said, Phil has gone through this before, and yet he tried to spin it and do it to other people after it was done to him. When it was done to him, he wanted to play victim, he wanted to cry and complain, he wanted to wee all the way home. But he had no problems with inflicting some of that same damage later on down the line if it could benefit him. Which, yet again, is a testament to him and his character.
This is basically YouTube or Nintendo saying, we want money off of your work, okay? Now, let's talk about this, because years ago we had the same situation when it came to SOPA and PIPA and these laws that were really threatening to censor the internet too much because they were too broad. And at that time there was this open discussion about Let's Plays and video game playthroughs, and everyone said, gee, are they legal? Are they protected under fair use? Are they not protected under fair use? Is a Let's Play a transformative work? Or is it actually you using copyrighted content and therefore it shouldn't be allowed? We had this huge debate about it years ago, okay? And after months of debate, legal people, like lawyers, came out and said, listen, it's this simple. Video games are a medium different from any other copyrighted medium, because anything else, a movie, a song, okay, any of these things, they're not able to be transformed, okay? How can I explain this? When you watch a movie, regardless of if you're doing commentary over it, like Mystery Science Theater 3000 does, you're not changing the movie. The movie is the movie. And so if you are showing someone the entire movie, you basically spoiled the movie. Someone who watches you do commentary over a movie is probably not going to go watch that movie or buy that movie because they already saw it. You've spoiled it, basically.
And yet cinematic sense still prevails, and people go back and watch those movies all the time, or people watch their takes on movies that they've never seen before, and then goes and watches them. Check the comment section. People talk about that all the time.
A video game, the vast majority of video games are interactive, meaning what's happening on the screen is because you're controlling it. Now, yes, the actual number of situations and hypotheticals that can happen in a video game playthrough are limited to what is created by the software and the programmers. However, the way that you go about it is your own individual way. And also,
but that's few and far between, and we're talking about branching stories. When you get to just the cut and dry of the end game of the game, like you know what I'm saying, if it doesn't have branching endings and it just has one ending, then you spoiled that game and everything that was involved in it, as if you were doing the same thing with a movie from front to back. Same concept. Also, people do the abridgment of movies or even movie scenes. That's a thing too. Just throwing it out there. I'm having an argument with someone 6 years ago, if you think about it. But just throwing it out there.
Your commentary added to that is at least an argument enough to say that this is a transformative work.
If that's the case, then someone taking your content and adding, if commentary is the bare minimum, if someone taking your content, cuts it up, and then adds different aspects to it, that makes it just as transformative, because it's more than what it was originally. That's what he's trying to basically say with the commentary. And it sounds like they only skewed past it because of commentary. That sounds like that was the only thing that kind of got it, that ended up allowing it to kind of skew by. If that's the case, then what everybody else does is transformative, Phil. Hence the reason why you can't get anybody kicked off YouTube. Or you haven't been able to. At least not in a while, anyway. And whatnot. Because trust me, I'm sure he's still trying to do so. And that's why he doesn't even want to pick that fight anymore, at least not publicly, because he knows he can't win. You're a goddamn idiot, Phil. The very thing that you used, and I say you loosely because it's not like you did any real work in that whole situation prior about his Let's Plays considered transformative, is the same kind of mental gymnastics that you're trying to do right now that is not working. You're fighting your own argument, basically. And if it even did get dragged into court, they would look at that original case and be like, well, it only skewed by on this. If this is all they really had, I don't know what the particulars are of it. So if that's the case, just from a legal standpoint and whatnot, and if you watch Nick Recator or any other lawyer online, especially on YouTube, you'll kind of, I would assume to some degree, they might agree with me to some small extent, that will, just for future reference, we should probably just go ahead and, be honest with you, reverse it on everything, just to be on the safe side. And most companies would probably be okay with that, because the idea of YouTube is a medium of promotion. But if you got some companies out there that are really hard-assed about, hey, we really want profits, and either they come into it with us at a 50-50 deal or not, which is what they do now. If they don't want to come into it with us in that type of deal, then they just get nothing. The company's gonna lose a little bit, but at the end of the day, they hold all the cards. So, if you think about it, people like Phil would lose. So when Phil talks all this nonsense about, they're lucky I can't take them to court. They're lucky they can't do this. They're lucky they can't do that. I wish you would take me to court, Phil. I wish you would. And then what? You take me to court, you lose, then what, Phil? Do I get your house? Do I get your used car? Do I get your wife? Do I get your cat? Because guess what? When I win, which more than likely I would, as anybody else would, I'm going to make sure that people see what kind of individual you are. I'm going to make sure that this was frivolous and this was bullshit. And I'm going to make sure that you get stuck with my lawyer fees, you get stuck with the court fees, and I'm going to want compensation. So if I got to take your house, if I got to take your mother's house, if I got to take your father's house, then I'm going to take it. And you don't want that, because you talk all this big bravado and shit until that zombie go boom thing happened. And then when they lost, you really started to realize, oh shit, that might not be a good look. And then just the money that it takes to retain a lawyer, you don't have that. Let alone going through a lengthy trial. And it'll be a lot easier for me to get information on you than it is otherwise. And even if you were going to use detractor content as your point of evidence, you're going to have a very hard time getting past copyright and fair use. You're literally going to go to court for nothing. And because of that, I'm going to make sure that you get stuck with my lawyer fees and you're going to get stuck with my court fees. And even if I have to pay my lawyer, which I'm fine with that actually, I'll definitely make sure you get caught up with the court fees. Believe that. And then I still get a settlement out of it. I'll still get my compensation and my loss of whatever I feel like. I'm emotionally stunted in such a way that I can't get behind my microphone and keep doing these videos for free. Boy, Phil, you're going to need to compensate me for that. You don't want that. You really, really don't. Especially not with the grimy bullshit that you've done behind the scenes And online, that's blatant abuse of copyright. And you did that for years. You don't want that coming out. And you definitely don't want coming out, Phil. How much is it that you make a year? Or how much you've made over the last 5 years? You don't want any of that information coming out. And I don't blame you. But you don't want that information to be public information. And you can't suppress that. You just don't want that. So just stop saying this whole bullshit about you wish you could take people to court. You could sue them because they have an opinion of you. Stop all this fucking glass house nonsense. This safe space bullshit. Because in reality, you don't have the money, you don't have the time, and you don't have the will and or know how to do any of that. You don't. And don't pretend like you do.
Put it this way. If you were to take the game code, and I just threw my game by accident, the game code of Metro Last Light, and you were to rip the game code off the disc after buying it, and you were to upload that to the internet, that could be 100% considered copyright infringement. 100%. However, if you're doing a video game playthrough, because what you're creating on screen is part of your input, and if you weren't there on the other end, okay, controlling it, and it would never happen, that could be a legal precedent set to say that video games are different from movies and from music, and they are transformative work. Let's Plays are transformative work. So this is where we kind of left it 2 years ago with Sopa and Pippa. We said, there's no legal precedent, but we think that Let's Plays and playthroughs should be protected under, you know, fair use law and as a
so then yet again, just like with restreaming and rebroadcasting of the content of others, if it's transformative, there's no precedence for it. There's no legal boundaries, laws, or rules for it. So then it deserves to be protected just like anything else. Idiot. If what you do should be legal, it has no legal law, structure, or status quo in place, and you feel that it should be protected, then it works. Then it continues to work moving forward. That means if anybody has a commentary and or criticism, whether transformative, whether for educational purposes, entertainment purposes, or whatever the case may be, and it meets the guidelines, or not guidelines, but at least certain criteria to make it transformative, which would apply to the same rules of almost the same rules of what would make a Let's Play transformative, then guess what? It deserves to be protected just as the same situation that preceded it. But you didn't want that. You didn't even try to educate people on that, or maybe not educate, because I wouldn't expect you to be able to do that anyway. You didn't even try to inform people on that. You just said he's breaking the law. And you knew you did that, and you knew you did it wrong, and you tried to play prejudice on it to push your narrative. That's why that's why he never brings up LSB. That's why he never brings up any of those other dudes who do it. That's why he always targets Tevin. So when people say, oh, he's not racist, or oh, he's just stupid, oh, he's this, oh, he's that, he blatantly went out of his way to try to use Tevin's skin color against him. And it didn't work because that's not how people look at it. He still looks at it that way because that's all he has. But that's not how everybody looks at it. And then he tries to skew it and say, oh, he's a good content creator. Or he's a great content creator. If he would just do his own content, it'd be fine. Then he had to go ahead and walk that shit back and try to almost appeal to Tevin's sensibilities. But Tevin had already given him years of basically of good advice and so on and so forth. Tevin, of all people, have given Phil all the constructive criticism you could ever get. When you look at, if you look at detractors in general, Tevin's is king of the hill, if you will, is because of the fact that he's considered not only the most entertaining, but he's also considered the most reasonable of detractors. Him, Argent, and Theo are considered the most reasonable of detractors. You know what I'm saying? They're not assholes like me that are just coming out here to rip Phil up and whatnot. That's my whole purpose, is to rip what he says apart because it's bullshit. And if I can prove it, great. If not, I can try to at least point you in the direction of it. And if you get a couple of laughs out of it, it works. But those guys are actually reasonable. I'd like to be more reasonable about the situation, but I don't owe Phil that respect. I theoretically owe that to you, though. You as the audience. I owe you guys that respect of coming at it from a practical standpoint. But I don't owe that to him. I don't owe that to him because too many good people tried to do that before me, and he spat that right back in their goddamn faces. I'm not going to let that happen to me. Not because I believe I'm better than them, but because I've already seen how he treated it then. That was just like when he tried to throw out the Olive Garden gift card. That's what I call it. It was actually in the olive branch. He tried to extend. Oh, what was that? 2018, I think, is when he tried to extend that olive branch, saying, "Hey, let's do a cease and desist. You know, I want a truce." That truce was bullshit. Anybody who would have taken that truce would have been an idiot. It would have been an idiot. It was merely a way of him getting you into a position where he could find out who you were, and then he was going to splat that all over his forum, and then he was going to publicly call you out. That's all it was. It was a honeypot. Well, grease pit. That's all it was. He never had any real intention of trying to actually have a real cease and desist. He didn't want that. He wasn't even going to try to aim for it. He was going to screw any detractor who went up to him and said, "Hey, let's actually talk this out." He would have been reasonable about it for a little while until he can get enough people around you to find out who you were, or to have you start spinning the narrative on him in a much more positive light. But the moment you're not useful anymore, he's going to discard you. And then he's going to put your information out there. Or he's going to at least spread it amongst his minions. Look at what he did with King Tut. That's why when people are asking, "Oh, when's Tut going to come back?" People already know who he is. Or at least amongst Phil's inner circle, they do. Phil got his docs, and he spread it out there. He got that through his PayPal. You don't trust people like this. You don't put faith in people like this. I've already seen I've seen good people on both sides of the spectrum try. I haven't seen one of them succeed yet.
Work. Okay. Now, it never went to court. No game company ever stepped up and said, "No, this is bullshit. We don't want people playing our games on YouTube or on Twitch TV or whatever." And so, no one ever really talked about it after Sopa and Pippa got shot down in 2012. It kind of became a moot point. Okay, everyone went back to business as usual. Now, all of a sudden, it's now coming back to bite us in the ass because Nintendo has been the first major game publisher to take it upon themselves to think that they somehow legally own the videos that you put up of their game, even though you had your own interactivity with it. That's the reason why the videos were able to be created in addition to your own commentary. Now, some people may be saying, well, what about Mystery Science Theater 3000? This is what a lot of people have brought up as their argument. Mystery Science Theater 3000 is a show where this guy and his puppets, it's a bunch of characters, talk and do commentary over old sci-fi and other horror and shitty movies. And people have been saying, well, they've always been able to do it, so why can they do it, but you can't do it with video games? That makes no sense. Well, there's some truth to this. Mystery Science Theater 3000 uses movies that are called, I believe it's called fair domain or common domain. Forgive me for not remembering the exact terminology because I did research this 2 years ago. Basically, there's some movies that after a certain number of years, if the copyright isn't renewed on them, they become public property. And so that's why they actually use such horrible, shitty movies from the past. These are movies that were so bad, no one ever even bothered to renew the copyright, and so they're basically public property. Anyone can use them. Now, you may wonder, gee, what does Mystery Science Theater 3000 ever use common, newer movies? That's because those movies actually have current copyrights on them. And so what they've actually done, one of the guys who was involved with that show now does something called riff tracks on the internet. And I don't know if you ever heard of this. What they do is they sit and they watch a movie a new movie, like, I don't know, The Dark Knight Rises, and they do commentary to the movie, but they separate the commentary. It's just audio only. And what they do is they sell you the commentary over the internet for like $1, and then you press play on that, on the movie, and also on the commentary, and you listen to them simultaneously. That way, they're not violating copyright law because they're not doing anything with the movie. They're just giving you an additional audio file to play while you actually watch the movie. So that's how they get around it. That's why you don't see Mystery Science Theater 3000 playing new movies, okay? However, keep in mind that movies, again, they're not interactive. You have absolutely no creative control over what happens in a movie that's already printed and done. That's not the case with video games. And really what I think is going to happen is eventually this is going to go to court. And the argument here is going to be video games as art. Is a video game playthrough considered a violation of copyright of a game publisher and or game developer, or is it considered a transformative work of art because the actual person who's playing the game has to add his or her own control and gameplay to it in addition to commentary? And does that make it something different that's protected under fair use law? The problem is it's never gone to court. And so what Nintendo just did by laying the smacketh down and basically saying to YouTube, anything that you find that's a newer Nintendo game we want to take the ad revenue from, YouTube really has no way to say no. They're like, well, it's never gone to court. We don't want to go to court for it. This is the first company that's ever asked us to do this. I guess we just have to do it so we don't get sued. Now, what could happen is people could actually come together. Like, I'm serious. Now, Machinima, GameStation, any of these big companies who have been partnering people to do video game playthroughs and have been making ad revenue off of it, in addition to the actual people like themselves, like me, again, Toby Games, Total Biscuit, SSOHPKC, anyone who does commentary over video games at all could come together and we could do a lawsuit. And we could sue Nintendo and say, we finally want this to go to court, and, you know, we want an answer. The problem is, it's a slippery slope. Because what if this happens, it goes to court, and all of a sudden there's a ruling by some judge, some stodgy-ass judge, who doesn't understand actually what a video game playthrough even is. Maybe he doesn't even understand how you create gameplay by playing the game. He doesn't understand how they're an interactive medium, and he just makes a ruling, and now that's the ruling until there's an appeal, and it could be caught up in court for years, but you could have a ruling that could fuck over everyone on the internet who does Let's Plays, okay? So this is an insanely bad thing that Nintendo did this, and it is probably the worst thing they possibly could have done for their image right now. Like, you already made a system that no one wants. You made a system with a gimmick controller that no one likes. It's a system that's about to be outdated. No one's buying it. And now you spit in the face of the people who are doing Let's Plays, giving you free promotion of your games, and you say you want us to take money from them. Like, what? What person on Nintendo is making these calls? It's the dumbest thing ever. Like, you're already losing money. Now make something that will make people not want to play your games anymore. I don't get it. I don't fucking get it. And the bottom line is, here's the thing. I have a Wii U sitting right here. It's been collecting dust since November. I have not played a game on the Wii U. I take that back. I played Lego City Undercover, and it wasn't a very good game, and people weren't liking the footage regardless. So, it's gonna fucking sit there.
Meaning that he only plays games for profit, which he says he's never done. He's never dropped a playthrough because of profit. Just kind of admitted to you, but he admitted it just a minute ago that people weren't feeling it, and that's why he's not playing it.
Until there's a reason to play it. What's the next game? Pikmin 3? Is that a system seller? No. So the Wii U still isn't going to sell. When are these...
I haven't heard that in a really long time. System sellers, like games that were supposed to move systems off the shelf. It's been a while since I've heard someone say that term. Holy shit.
First party games coming out, and then when they come out, you're telling me now I can't even possibly play them on Twitch and or on YouTube. And it's like, what the fuck? What is my motive to ever buy anything for a Nintendo system again?
You mean play it for your own personal entertainment? Oh, that's right. Phil's a businessman, though, and he has to play every game for profit. And because Phil does YouTube for a living, he assumes that everybody else does YouTube for a living. So everybody else has to buy Nintendo games and play it online for profit? Huh. Interesting.
I mean, there are people out there. What about that guy Nintendo Capri Sun who plays Nintendo games? Like, that's his gimmick. He likes to play Nintendo games on YouTube. There are people who exclusively do that. Nintendo just shat in your mouth. Nintendo just said, we want your money now, so fuck you. And then you just fucking took a big dookie dump on your face. And you're fucked if that was your little niche or your gimmick that you played Nintendo games. And I'll be honest, I have been affected. Only one video so far. I lucked out. Skyward Sword, Zelda Skyward Sword Part 1 got a content match from Nintendo. I have disputed it. And Nintendo gets a month to basically counteract that dispute claim. Now, I've heard that there are people, I guess there's this kid named Zach Scott, and there's a bunch of other people who exclusively do Nintendo, who their entire channels have been flagged. So that's a bad thing. And what I'm thinking is that eventually YouTube's automated system is going to get around to it and start auto-flagging everyone who's uploaded Nintendo content. So I'm curious to see for myself what happens with Zelda Skyward Sword Part 1 if Nintendo just lets it go after a month, or if they don't and they fight it. And I don't know what's going to happen.
Now let me talk a little bit about this scenario. One, he said he hasn't touched his Wii since what, November? And like I said, this video itself, ladies and gentlemen, was in May. So he's not losing really anything. And anything that is going to get hit, he's already made a boatload of money off of anyway, allegedly. He's already made his money off of. So if they hit his old stuff in his library, what does he care? Because he's already made his money off of it. And he's not playing anything new. He hasn't played in almost 7 months. Under reasonable circumstances, he's bitching just a bitch. And since the console isn't very good and is making trash games, he didn't say trash games, I'm saying that. But since he's basically implying that they're not making any good games, he's not going to pick any games to play anyway. Yet again, we're kind of bitching just the bitch, to be honest. Now, you could say, or you could make the argument that, oh, well, maybe a retro game comes out, or maybe there'll be something else that he wants to play later on. Key word is maybe. If you look at his track record so far, he's gone almost half a year and not played anything. It doesn't sound like he's lost too much. That's all I'm saying.
Don't know. This is horrible. This is not a good thing. Seriously, this is just, it's the beginning of a slippery slope. Because number one, what's to stop another company to now step up and say, oh, that's right, look, Nintendo did it, and YouTube didn't have the balls to stand up to them. I really doubt that the gamers or the partnership companies will stand up and do anything about it. Our turn to try to get a cut of this pie. And so now you're going to have, what's to stop EA? Of all the people, EA. You know, the one who gets the worst rep, the one who was voted the worst business of the year yet again. What's to stop them from saying all of our games from now on are off limits? You know? I don't know. The other thing here is it's a slippery slope, not only just for that, but for any company whatsoever that you use their product. So, let's say, well, okay, well, if you can't play a video game and make a video of it, because that's copyrighted content, well, what about, you know, me standing here and I just, I held this up. I held up Metro Last Light. Well, guess what? This image is copyrighted, so I can't make this video. So now, none of your experiences in your life are yours anymore. Oh, you went to a concert and you did a quick...
Wait, you wouldn't be able to profit off of it. You could still make the video and put it up, as plenty of Nintendo channels that weren't monetized did. They just wouldn't profit from it. That's the difference. They wouldn't profit. It wasn't like, oh, if you can't make any Nintendo videos at all. It's just you can't profit off of it. Jesus Christ.
Snippet of a video, copyright flag, you're done. Oh, you went to a basketball game and you made a video of the crowd? Nope. The NBA Knicks own that crowd. You're done. Copyright. It's like, what? Like, at what point do we draw the line and say that it's obvious that our current copyright laws are not updated?
They're not flagging the channel. They're just flagging the video. If they wanted to get egregious, then they could flag the channel. You should know that, Phil, because you've done that. You ain't sat there and flagged a bunch of channels. How many videos have you had taken down, Phil? How many channels have you had taken down? Now, I want you guys to think about all this, because he's sitting here talking all this hot shit right here. But ask him the next time you guys, if any of you are inclined, ask him how many YouTube channels he's had taken down. Ask him how many YouTube videos he's had taken down. But then he wants to spout out about copyright law when people like himself abused it. And that's why the copyright system, in a lot of ways, is the way it is now. Because of people like Phil.
To how things have become. The world has now become this interactive place where everyone's blogging and vlogging and videotaping everything they do, and they're sharing it to the world on sites like Flickr, like YouTube, like Facebook. It's become an interactive thing. But current copyright law is not defined well enough to answer questions about these things. So what's to stop corporations to basically say they own you? I'm wearing a Nautica shirt. Nautica just said that they own this video because I'm wearing a Nautica logo on my shirt. Now, this is free promotion for Nautica, but with current copyright law and the way that they're basically saying this, they could do that. They could flag this video and say, oh, no, we own that. You're wearing a Nautica shirt. You're done.
Keyword is could have. They didn't. So we're really fear-mongering here for nothing. We're fear-mongering because we got an idiot that's sitting in front of us who's mad that a company that makes games he can't he could potentially not profit from, and for 2+ years, maybe a little longer, he didn't. And he's not even playing any of their games now. So when he cried over the next 2+ years about, I can't play that game and this, that, and the third, and I can't play that game because they're going to claim all the money on it. He could have played it on his own. He could have played it for his own enjoyment. He could have played that on his own free time so he could at least experience the game. He didn't want to do that. He only wanted to do it if he was going to get paid for it, for profit. He only wanted to play those games if he could profit from it. Does that really sound like a gamer to you guys?
See how preposterous this is? You see what I'm saying? Where do we draw the line and say that corporations don't fucking own our lives? And that's really the innate issue here. No, I played a video game. I created that playthrough with my own skill, my own gameplay, my own commentary. Nintendo didn't fucking do that. I did. I put in the work, I created the video, I used whatever technology, a camera, direct capture, to create the video. I did the effort to upload the video to YouTube. Fuck you, Nintendo. You didn't do jack shit. You created the software, but I put in the skill. This is not all you. You don't get all the fucking revenue if there's an ad on that video when I upload it. Who the fuck are you to say that you own me? And that's literally what Nintendo is saying. We own you. We own you because you touched a piece of our software. Fuck them. Seriously. Like, I don't see why people don't suddenly just fucking unplug their Wii U's and put them in the fucking trash can. Because that's really, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it.
It's reasons like this that he's never going to be able to get sponsorship or get real serious sponsorship. It's the reasons like this, it's because of reasons like this, I'm sorry, that it's very, very hard to market and promote somebody like this. You basically saw, ladies and gentlemen, him amp himself up. To get himself angry, to get himself emotional, to do what he did next. All on his own. Over what ifs of what could haves. You know what I mean? And on a console, yet again, that he admitted to us, ladies and gentlemen, that he ain't touched in over a year, or in half a year, 6 months. It's closer to 7, but you know what I mean. How do you take someone serious like that? That's like me complaining, right? That's like me complaining. Okay, let's say I have 2 cars, right? I got a brand spanking new one, a beauty. You know what I'm saying? 2018 downstairs. And then I have another car that I haven't touched in like 2 years. And I'm bitching and complaining about that second car who I haven't touched in 2 years. That don't make no sense. That's stupid. That's stupid. I can't bitch and complain about anything about that vehicle. Whether the weather's really bad outside, so now it's messing up the paint, or the engine won't start because I haven't gone out there and started it in 2 years, or whatever the other lame. It has flat tires, or whatever lame brain shit you want to come up with. You can't complain about any of that if you haven't done anything with it in 2 years. This is no different. He's sitting here bitching and complaining about what haves on a console that he ain't touched in 6 months. He ain't sat there and got emotional to try to basically get other people emotional for something that meant really nothing to him. He bitched just to bitch. You said it yourself, there was no games that you were interested in playing. So it could have been 2 years and he may have never have touched that console. So who cares? Yet again. But he sat there and made this a thing to what? Just have another talking point?
Unplug it. You don't even deserve my fucking electricity. You don't. Yeah? You fucking own me? Fuck you. Because that's where it fucking belongs, in the fucking trash. When a company tells you that they're more important than you and they own you, that's what you fucking do with them. Fuck the Wii U and fuck Nintendo. That thing doesn't deserve to get a fucking volt of my electricity right now because Nintendo is a bunch of fucking assholes. So fuck you, Nintendo. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. You need to grow the fuck up and understand that your entire fucking fan base, you just screwed them and they literally are just gonna fucking do this. Who's gonna buy a Nintendo game now when you basically said we own our customers?
Now, if he was trying to be dramatic about that, when he looked at the side of that console and he saw whatever he saw on it, because he's an idiot and didn't look at what was in the trash can, I bet you he felt stupid there. He felt stupid there. Sorry. Next thing. It goes back, it rings back, if you will, to the general concept of if he was able to focus this bitch-made emotion, as I like to think of it, into something constructive. He could have been not a very good, but a decent game critic. You know what I mean? Like someone who writes for like a magazine or something, which back in those days he could have done that. Or for a website, somebody else's website, not that shitty forum that he has. And he probably could have gotten himself a fair amount of notoriety and made himself quite a bit of money. But he didn't want to do that. He thought, funny enough, he thought he could do it on his own. And it turns into nothing but the ramblings of some 30-year-old loser. That's really what it came down to. He's a joke. He can make this shit seem like it's important or it's a job or whatever he wants to call it. But at the end of the day, he's a joke. And not because of what he does for a living, but how he does it. And how he conducts himself. The proof's in the pudding. And him sitting there throwing his Wii into the trash, or Wii U, I'm sorry, and say that, fuck you, Nintendo, and you're not worth this, that, and the third, it's an opinion. He has the right to have it. But then, if no one wants to reach out to him for Nintendo sponsorship and everybody else around him is, and he says that's unfair, this, that, and the third, and then someone brings this video up and says, well, Phil, what happened when you did this? Banned. So think about it.
Okay, well, I've raved and I've ranted and I've now got it off my chest. It's uncertain whether or not I'll ever fucking play another game on this fucking thing. The bottom line, though, is it's not going to affect me too much anyway, considering there's nothing fucking coming out for it that I would want to play. What game is coming out for this stupid piece of shit that's about to be outdated in a few months anyway? You know what I mean? What a waste of time and money to buy a fucking Wii U now. Assholes. Alright, so anyway...
Proving my point. Bitching and complaining about a console that he hadn't touched in 6 months. What was the point of all that? And yet again, not a real gamer, because he can't even play games on his own time. He's just mad because he can't profit from it. He's literally a leech, a mosquito, a tick on the gaming industry. He always was. It was everything he did had to be in the pursuit of profit. He never played video games for the enjoyment of playing it. There are plenty of Let's Players out here who play games on their own time that never sees the light of day on YouTube. But Phil isn't one of those people. It's all about profit. It's all about the almighty dollar. And now he spends the majority of his time trying to convince other people to give him money so he can have those game experiences. If you want them so goddamn bad, play it yourself. If you want that video game so bad, go out and buy it with your own goddamn money and play it yourself. He don't want that. He wants you to pay for the game. And you, meaning his audience, or his cult, or his fan base. He wants you to pay. He wants you to buy the game. He wants you to come to his streams and throw money at him for playing the game. And then he's going to profit from it, not from other idiots on Twitch, and then whatever ads he runs over there, but then he's going to profit from it on YouTube too. So he's winning in 4 different ways, if you think about it. Really 3 if you want to combine the people on Twitch giving him money plus the ads, but I'm going to call it 4. So he's going to profit either which way. Either which way he's going to win. But he don't want you guys to know that.
Now what I'd like to do is very shortly, oh my god, take a very short break, and I'm going to come back and we'll do Q&A in the chat. I see that I've got over 700 people on the stream right now, which is pretty awesome for just a stream like this. But I'll take some Q&A from people, I'll answer some questions, and and that'll be it for the night because I'm losing my voice from ranting so much. So let me get another quick drink here, and we'll be right back. What's going on, everyone? Darkside Phil here with a special vlog.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so that's the end of that. Let me clean up here a little bit. Give me just a second. Let's get that mug off there. I'm not even sure. I ain't looked at that enough. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so where do we take from this? Personally, a bunch of bitching and complaining. I will say he had a couple of points. He had a couple of points of interest. I can't take that away from him, nor would I try to, despite the fact I don't really like giving it to him in the first place. But essentially, that was just him kind of bitching and complaining just to do it. Yet again, I feel like it's nothing more than him just trying to flex his importance and why people need him in his opinion. That's really kind of what it came off to me. Not entirely, but that's pretty much the cut and dry of it. My opinion is valid. This is why you should listen to me. And all these people who do anything to change what they're doing that affects me are fucking idiots. If not, I don't care. That's basically what he drummed out. It was as straightforward as it was going to come. And a lot of those situations, and Phil is such a closed-minded individual that he never has reacted well to change, no matter what. Like on Twitch, interestingly enough, he very rarely talks about any changes on Twitch because he's scared, because he knows it's the only thing that he has. YouTube, though, he always felt like he was in his feelings and he could talk shit. For what reason, couldn't tell you. But he always felt it necessary to talk his shit over there and didn't give a fuck about the consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, it is what it is. But we learned quite a bit. It's certainly enough to carry the day until the next video, whenever that might be. And like I said, hopefully you guys can take something away from it, and so on and so forth. And hopefully you enjoyed it in whatever fashion. If you use this for white noise, I don't blame you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. This is DSP News 2nd edition, and I will see you guys for the next video. Hopefully sooner than later. I have a lot that I want to do. And like I said, I've got a lot to bring to you. So, hopefully sooner than later. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I'll see you when I see you. Take care of yourselves.